What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, where you'll find out what the Fukushima's going on.
And aloha, America. Welcome to our show today. It is Friday, August 18th, 2017. We have got a lot of stuff to talk about today, and of course the lovely Lady Claire is going to be joining us in our third hour, and apparently we're having some issues with our BAM user account, so I apologize to those people. It's probably being hacked. It looks like the stream is being interrupted almost continuously right now. So getting on into the news here, obviously the big news today is Steve Bannon is out as the White House chief strategist, and we've been hearing rumors about this for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. So it's kind of almost anticlimactic. We heard on Wednesday it was probably going to happen, and that's where we are right now. So getting on back to events at the White House here. And again, on Tuesday, Trump was telling reporters that Bannon was a good man and not a racist. The silver lining in all this, of course, may well be that Bannon will go back to Breitbart, and he will try and clean things out there, which would be a really good thing. So we'll see what's going to happen over there, and it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to get the BAM user up. It's saying that the server on their end is down right now. We're still seeing all this ridiculous talk coming out of the corporate media about getting rid of Trump somehow. And apparently Morning Micah is out there saying it's time to remove Trump under the 25th Amendment, saying that his comments about Charlottesville has created a permissive climate for violence. No, he condemned the violence on both sides. The problem is he refused to condemn only one side, and so as a result they're saying, well, since he was condemning Antifa and Black Lives Matter along with everybody else, that obviously he favors the white supremacists. I mean, the logic is extremely tortured here. In fact, there's no logic to it whatsoever. It's just out there screeching and screaming, and Newt Gingrich is out there saying that Trump is very isolated right now, and I'm not sure that getting rid of Bannon was necessarily a good idea, but apparently Bannon has now been fingered as the White House leaker. And it looks like right now that framing somebody for being the leaker has now become the absolute top best method for getting people out of your way inside the White House. It's a very vicious environment there. Now, apparently, as the world continues to just spin out of control here, there's been more terror attacks. Over in Finland, 3 knife-wielding attackers shouting Aloha Snack Bar stabbed 9 people, 1 death. The police shot 1 suspect in the leg. They still have that. And then over in Wuppertal, Germany, 1 person killed, 1 injured after a knife attack there. So all of a sudden, knives are the big thing. They'll have waiting period for knives and the rest. There's been another car ramming incident in Spain. The police are saying that they're linked. And yesterday we had a caller on the line saying that maybe this was a false flag terror attack to bring Spain back in line with the coalition. If that really was the plan, it has backfired. Spain is now approaching Russia for cooperation in fighting terrorism, probably because in recent months Russia has succeeded in thwarting all kinds of terror plots that were taking place inside their country. Whereas all over Europe and in the United States, the terror attacks seem to be happening no matter what the police do. So let's get on to this thing about Charlottesville, because they're out there still milking this thing for all that it's worth. Paul Craig Roberts has an article out there basically saying what I was just saying, because Trump held both sides responsible for the Charlottesville violence. The left is accusing him of supporting the white supremacists. I mean, and we've seen the videos. The Black Lives Matter and Antifa were in there with clubs and shields, pepper spray, throwing all kinds of disgusting materials at everybody, and yet the media and the left are saying that you should only be criticizing those people who oppose the tearing down of the statues. And they're still pushing that white supremacist issue, even though there are a lot of non-white people who do not want those statues to come down. Polls are showing the majority of Americans want those statues, monuments, left exactly where they are. And once again, the left is looking like a bunch of whining crybabies who resort to violence when they don't get what they want. And they're out there screaming Nazis and white supremacists and just hurling names and insults and a lot of other stuff, which basically is an admission that their point of view is intellectually null and void. They don't have any real arguments to bring to the table. It's just screaming and screeching and rioting until they get what they want. A mobocracy. We're going to do a shout out now to our on-air affiliates who are just now rejoining our network. And again, as I mentioned before, most Americans, according to polls, are agreeing with Trump's response to the Charlottesville violence. Okay, it looks like I'm still trying to get BAM user up here, and I'm trying to get this thing to work, but I may not be able to get back to it until the next commercial break. So the polls are showing Americans are supporting Trump's response. Americans want those statues to be up there. And again, a lot of people are starting to pick up on that Craigslist ad where this public relations company out in California was hiring people at $25 an hour to show up and cause a ruckus there. And everybody's saying, okay, how real was Charlottesville? Well, obviously, if you have hired actors there, if you have hired agent provocateurs there, it's not real at all, is it? It can't be. It's all staged. And this is being reinforced because now some of the Charlottesville police have come forward to say that they were, in fact, instructed by their superiors to just jam everybody together. The Antifa, Black Lives Matter, and the defenders of the statues and monuments, jam them together, and they were told to stand down in order to allow the situation to get out of control. Apparently, they weren't allowed to arrest anyone without express permission from the mayor. They were even told not to stop the driver of that car that rammed into the people as he sped away. And the police are now saying this thing was being set up all the way back in May is when they were planning to have this staged incident. Now, down in Georgia, apparently there is a judge compared the attack on U.S. monuments to ISIS actions. And that's legitimate. Look what ISIS did in Palmyra, tearing down all those ancient archaeological sites. And he's been he's been suspended from the bench for equating the two. But it's a legitimate comparison to make, along with the Nazi book burning. And this is attracting the attention of the entire world and commentary. Nigel Farage is now out there saying the left must not be allowed to rewrite American history, which is exactly what they're trying to do right now. Oliver Stone is out there saying 1984 is here. And he's absolutely right. And there's a very telling quote here. Every record has been destroyed or falsified. Every book rewritten. Every picture has been repainted. Every statue and street building has been renamed. Every date has been altered. And the process is continuing day by day and minute by minute. History has stopped. Nothing exists except an endless present in which the party is always right. George Orwell, 1984. We're there. That's exactly what they're doing. Now, Orwell wrote that book as a warning. Unfortunately, way too many people are seeing it as an instruction manual, and they do seem to be following it bit by bit by bit. And right now, the violence and monument attacks seem to be proceeding without any real agenda or focus. It's no longer about slavery. Over in Chicago, somebody tried to set fire to a statue of Abraham Lincoln. Actually, it was a bust of Abraham Lincoln, and it was erected in 1926, and they poured an accelerant all over it and set it on fire. Well, if your issue is tearing down the monuments related to slavery, why are you attacking the monuments of Abraham Lincoln? And apparently they vandalized the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. Up in New Hampshire, the Republican Party headquarters has been spray painted with the word Nazis. This is getting totally out of control. Vandals strike the statue of General Robert E. Lee at Duke University. Yesterday I was talking about people saying, let's blow up Mount Rushmore. Vice magazine is now on board with that. They ran an article early today, say, let's just blow up Mount Rushmore. Then they pulled back on it a little bit. They got some criticism. They said, well, we should get rid of Mount Rushmore. Or maybe put some new faces up there. Alex Jones is up in Seattle covering some of the issues there. Somebody doused him with hot coffee. Boiling hot coffee. While he was trying to do what he's trying to do. Resorting to violence is an admission that you don't really have an argument. The facts, logic, and law are against you, so you resort to violence to get what you want. Those who resort to violence are basically expressing their selfishness and insensitivity to everybody else around them. They're not interested in a community or a society. They just want what they want. Down in Atlanta, protesters vandalized another monument. They thought it was a Confederate symbol. Turned out it was the Peace Monument in Piedmont Park. Had nothing to do with the Confederacy. Just burn, baby, burn. I gotta tell you, looking around right now, current events, they're starting to make the 60s look like the 50s by comparison. And it's starting to backflash now. Everybody's getting removed statue fever. Let's get rid of the statues. And Bill Clinton's sex assault victims are now demanding the removal of his statue in South Dakota. We shouldn't be honoring a sexual predator. Now, a little bit of history lesson. Why do we call this nation America instead of Columbia? Well, very simply, when Columbus first discovered the New World, for various political reasons, his sponsors decided to give the credit to a gentleman named Amerigo Vespucci, who was just a friend of the court. Party guy, and they sent him on over, and they said, Amerigo Vespucci is the discoverer of America. We have named America after him. And what Amerigo Vespucci brought back from the New World was gold, emeralds, and 222 slaves. So the very name America is associated with slavery, and it's time to just remove it completely. And that means we're going to have to burn all the Captain America comic books. We're going to have to go to the store and get rid of American cheese because it represents slavery. You know the Taj Mahal over in India? That was built by slave labor. 22,000 slaves. Guess we got to bomb that one. Now up in Seattle, where Alex Jones is dodging hot coffee, the Seattle mayor has moved on from Confederates to other symbols of hate and racism. He wants to take down the statue of Lenin that's up there. It's really getting ridiculous. Over in Sweden, which we know is the liberal paradise on earth, where apparently Sweden is now starting to erase their Viking past by quite literally destroying historical artifacts as they are found. This is according to Svenska Dagbladet, a Swedish language news agency. And when they're finding Viking age ironwork, it's just being sent away as scrap metal. That's ridiculous. Now, the communities where this is all happening, unsanctioned, obviously in some of these communities, the mayor is giving the order for the removal of the statues and so forth. But down in Durham, where they pulled down a Confederate statue just with a riot, 8 people have now been arrested for pulling down that statue, and there are probably going to be more arrests as well. And for everybody who's out there listening to my show who thinks this is really kind of cool to go on out and do this sort of thing, you need to remember that destruction of U.S. veteran monuments is a felony punishable by 10 years in prison. And specifically, under U.S. law, those who served in the Confederacy are deemed to be U.S. military veterans, and their monuments fall under this U.S. Code 1369, Title 18. If you destroy or vandalize any veterans memorial, Union, Confederate, Vietnam, World War I, World War II, Korea, you can go to jail for 10 years. Now, the media is out there loaded for bear, so to speak. And CNN is kind of weird, the hypocrisy out there. CNN is out there trying to brand Trump a racist, but CNN right now is being sued by 175 of their own employees for racial discrimination. And even worse, CNN is now openly endorsing Antifa and literally saying there needs to be more violence on the streets of America. I mean, they've gone completely off the rails over there. And it's not surprising that they've fallen so far in the ratings. Nobody's going to listen to that kind of nonsense. It's not news. It's haranguing. Now, a little bit of historical clarification. And I know a lot of the people out there screaming about the Confederacy don't know this because they hide this kind of information in books. The guy who founded the Ku Klux Klan, Nathan Bedford Forrest, was a Democrat. He was even a delegate to the Democratic National Convention. The GOP has nothing to do with that dark chapter. These people are also running around screaming, you're a Nazi, you're a Nazi, you're a Nazi. Okay, let's take a look here. Remember what Nazi stands for? National Socialism. Left wing, not right wing. Hitler was a liberal. So, for some reason, all of Florida's 97,000 state prison inmates are now on lockdown, starting yesterday and continuing through the weekend. And apparently there is some kind of an unspecified threat about potential rioting. And so they're just going to keep everything locked down. They're bringing in extra staffing, probation officers. Apparently they're convinced something was going to happen, and they're getting on top of it so it doesn't get out of control. It does feel insane out there. It does feel insane out there. And I guess, I don't know. Something in the water supply. I really don't know. Anyway, over in Afghanistan, 1 U.S. soldier's been killed and 11 wounded battling ISIS over there. We're coming up here on a commercial break. When we come on back, we've got callers starting to get on the line. I'm going to try and get this BAM user camera up and running again because it just sort of locked up on the last time. So we're going to stop here for some commercials, try and get our tech issues behind us, and we'll be back with phone calls after these few words. Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing. Knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I... Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing. Knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge $20, $30, $40, $50, if possible, $100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
You've probably heard about all the great benefits of goat milk soap. But did you know some companies take shortcuts? At Old New England Soap, we make our organic goat's milk soap using 36% goat's milk. That's 17% more than most others. Our bars are larger, so they last longer, producing lots of lather packed with vitamins. And our soap is a natural moisturizer that smooths dry and damaged skin. Order online at oldnesoap.com. That's oldnesoap.com. You've tried the rest. Now try the best. oldnesoap.com.
Water-based soaps on supermarket shelves use harsh chemical acids to break down dead skin cells. And that's just not good for you. At Old New England Soap, our soaps are made without chemical ingredients, contain no alcohol or petroleum products, and use 85% organic materials and carry the USDA's organic certification. Try some today. Go to oldnesoap.com. That's oldnesoap.com. oldnesoap.com.
Welcome to What Really Happened Radio. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. And now, set your eyes on the future and let's consider what really happened.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show here. And I'm unable to get the BAM user to work. It says the server is hung up there, and I'm just going to give up. And we'll get back to it on Monday. All right, let's take some phone calls. Steve in California, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Well, I just noticed, I know you probably caught it, how mainstream media changed the wording, the label. First starting off with the Charlottesville thing as being white nationalists, and then later on changing it to white supremacists. Of course, the white nationalist is supposed to be equal to the neo-Nazis, and then, of course, equal to the KKK members. But if you look up the definition of a nationalist, you'll find that a nationalist is one who supports their nation, its culture, its language. And so shouldn't we all be in the United States here? Shouldn't we all be nationalists? Shouldn't our president be a nationalist who cares and supports the culture and language of our country?
Well, it should be, and back when I was a kid, that was exactly the model. That was, my country first, and, everybody else get in line behind that. But, of course, in the view of the liberals and the globalists, nationalism is a bad thing. They don't want people to care about their nation. They want everybody to want to be part of this huge, formless mass of humanity called Planet Earth, Inc.
Yeah, they clearly don't know and understand the definition of it. I mean, if you look at even as an example of the Olympics, the example is a prime example of nationalism. People who are having pride in their nation and representing their nation in the Olympics. That's clearly a definition of it right there.
Yeah, it is. But again, they're using nationalism because they can link it to the word Nazi. And again, they're pandering to an audience that they hope doesn't understand what the words really mean and where they came from. And it's like I was just saying before, Nazis were National Socialists. They were left-wing liberals. They were not the same as these people who are down here defending our national monuments.
Right. That's it, Michael. Hey, thank you.
All right, thank you. We're going to switch over to Francis in North Carolina. Aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, aloha to you both.
Aloha nui nui.
Oh, so much for the snack bar. Okay. Anyway, as for the various monuments around the U.S. and obviously locally, even to where I am at, close to Durham, my thoughts are, I know the young folks that are involved with that, obviously not listening to this show for that matter, or any other show for that matter. But all I can say is, for people that know those young folks, you're shooting yourself in the foot. No matter how intelligent you might be, and the fact you may be a minority, believe me, as far as you thinking you're just a minority and you're being singled out, no. You are no different than any other body else in the U.S. Your blood is mixed just like anybody else's blood is in the U.S. You are not pure regardless. And that I can speak from personal experience because my own blood is very mixed.
Yes.
Don't ask me how that happened. But, now, if they
I
really
think we all know how that happened.
What? I wasn't going to go there. Let's just say people had a hot time in the bed. How's that?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
People will be people.
Anyway, now, if they want to do something constructive to say that they are independent or want to be progressive and so forth, instead of destroying a monument that represents something that they may face returning back to and repeating again down the road in the future, perhaps they should pool their funds together instead of having to use that for bailout money and actually constructing a monument that actually works towards the healing of the people around them if they view so much negativity in that area, and create a monument that denotes peace and healing and love.
There are monuments like that, and these rioters tried to tear one of them down in Piedmont Park down in Atlanta, thinking it had something to do with the Confederacy. Oh, it's Georgia, it must be Confederate, and it was a peace marker, peace monument, and they tried to tear it down. They're not picking their targets. They're just out there in a frenzy, thinking that tearing down these monuments is somehow going to make their lives better, and it won't. It won't have any effect at all. And the problem is that the liberal Democrats, they actually can't deal with any of the real problems of this country. So they're going back 150 years and making a big stink about what happened back then to try and attract voters. Anyway, listen, Francis, stay on the line.
Have a good one.
All right, have a good one. We'll be back with another phone call after these few words.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
My name is Don Wiskin, and at 42 years old, I suffered a massive heart attack, lost 35% of my heart to damaged tissue, and was supposed to spend the rest of my life on disability. What did I do? I took Extendivite, a garlic and cayenne mix of 7 herbs which rebuilt my heart and gave me back my life. For over 17 years now, I have made this formula available to you so you don't have to suffer the same thing I did. Clean your blocked arteries and strengthen your heart and boost your natural immune system. I'm 60 years old now and I still work every day. To get your Extendivite, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com. Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Do you have difficulty taking supplements? Are you searching for a high-quality, complete nutritional drink that your whole family will love? NutriMedical's Life Support has arrived. All of your daily nutritional requirements in one quick, delicious drink. Dr. Bill Deagle's Life Support is a proprietary blend of vegan protein, activated vitamins, essential minerals, amino acids, probiotics, green tea, digestive enzymes, anti-inflammatories, cancer prevention, detoxification, and much more. Your body will high-five you for this one. Life Support is the best complete nutritious meal replacement on the market. Whether you are an elite athlete, have post-operative challenges, chronic illness, elderly, or a family that just wants a quick, delicious drink, try Dr. Bill Deagle's Life Support for optimized nutrition in one great tasting smoothie. Just add cold water, almond milk, fruit, or anything else you like. NutriMedical's Life Support. Try our great tasting chocolate or vanilla today. Call 888-212-8871 or visit us online at NutriMedical.com. NutriMedical.com for the whole family.
Without the right accessories, any guy can be off the mark. Whether you've invested thousands in your arsenal or you own a single trusted firearm, a visit to AROutfitting.com is in order. It's one of the finest online selections of tactical optics and AR parts and add-ons, like EOTech, quick target acquisition with no peripheral loss. Browse the full range of Nikon scopes and binoculars. AROutfitting.com can illuminate your world with Streamlight gun-mounted lights from keychain to large handhelds, up to 1,100 lumens. Find some stability with Battenfield tactical bipods. AirOutfitting.com has CMMG gun parts, barrels, assemblies, handguards, part kits, and more. Plus mag-full clips and magazines. I know I've got you excited, so take a breath. Head to AirOutfitting.com. The site's super easy to navigate and features a ton of technical info, including links to manuals. We also welcome vendor and manufacturer inquiries. Remember, if you don't see it, we can get it at AirOutfitting.com.
Some are maxed out all their credit cards. Some are working 2 jobs and living in cars. Minimum wage won't pay for a roof, won't pay for a drink. If you gotta have proof, just try it yourself, Mr. CEO. See how far $5.15 an hour will go. Take a part-time job at one of your stores. I bet you can't make it here anymore.
And aloha America, welcome back to the show here. And again, I'm already getting emails about people. They can't see the show in BAM User. BAM User, I couldn't connect to the server, and now it seems to be jammed up at my end. I can't get the camera to work without rebooting the computer, and obviously I cannot do that in the middle of a show. So we're without the camera, and it's just one of those things. Live radio, what can I tell you? We're going to get back to phone call here. Dustin in New Jersey, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. Hey, I went back. Remember, that Sheriff Joe Clark, the black sheriff with the cowboy hat?
I remember him well.
Yeah, I'm white. He's my hero. I think he's like a bigger hero than any of these stupid sports stars, which I don't watch sports. But I watched this was from last year. Remember when one of the Black Lives Matter people shot up in Dallas, the 4 police officers got killed? He was from the parking garage. Well, at the beginning of this CNN interview, the woman said right off the bat, even though he was a BLM member, you can't blame the whole group for that. But yet, you see CNN and the rest of these scumbags, they'll blame all white people for this one guy, set up or not. So you see the agenda and the hypocrisy right off the bat of these people, because they're scumbags. The media's scumbag, the controllers are scumbags, and, all these groups are scumbags, because they don't care, they don't care they lied anymore. I mean, it's right out in your face anymore. I mean,
it is. It's totally out of control here. I mean, one of the ones I'm always looking at is how every time there's another act of terror by a Muslim and we're told, oh, you shouldn't judge all Muslims by this one individual, and yet when somebody whose brain is melted on antidepressants shoots up a school with a gun, the first thing they do is say, oh, all of these gun owners are dangerous nuts and we should disarm them all.
Yeah, they don't blame anybody. They blame the vehicle. Vehicle kills 13 in Barcelona, or 14. They don't say who, see page 80, because they got the agenda. That's their foot soldiers. It's the radical left, have teamed up with basically the jihadists. It's just, they view the same, basically it's the same ideology. I mean, they're all fascists, communist, Marxist, whatever. I mean, it's the same ideology.
Okay, we got to be careful. We got to be careful throwing their words around because a lot of them are directly contradictory. Socialism and fascism are direct opposites. Okay, so let's be very, very careful about this. The one area where we do know what's going on is they want control. That's what it's all about. They want to be in control, from which they can then find ways to make a profit off of all of us. But it's always about maintaining control, and part of that control is keeping a wall of illusion around us where we think we're free, we think we're the right nation to be taking care of the rest of the world. We think we're moral and good, and the reality is actually quite different. But it's all about control. And I think one of the reasons for the attack specifically on the Confederacy is they want to erase from the general consciousness these were Americans who decided the federal government was exceeding its constitutional limits, which it was. And they took a stand against it by simply saying, we're not going to be part of this country anymore because the federal government isn't playing by the rules. And so Lincoln basically whipped up the slavery issue and lied the Union into a war of conquest to bring those states back into the Union along with all of their tax revenues.
Well, you know what's sad? I love Americans, but I think we're as stupid as the Swedish people. Go ahead, destroy your Viking heritage, right? The Americans will sit by, Mike, the majority, and let it happen because just like in Germany with Nazism and stuff, majority of Germans just people don't care anymore. It's worse now because you got television to brainwash you. Back then, what? They had radio? That was it? Or the propaganda?
Oh yeah, but the radio was very powerful. I mean, if that's all you've got, then that becomes the most powerful means of mass communication. And the Nazis exploited it. I mean, they subsidized the manufacturing of radios for the German people, and of course the radios were set up to only receive German radio stations and nothing that was coming in from the outside. And Hitler was famous for these national broadcasts and that idea that everybody in the country was listening to the voice of the Führer at the same time was a very powerful psychological tool. And that's why when the war was over during Operation Paperclip, they were grabbing these guys to try and learn about how the German propaganda machine proved to be as effective as it was. And of course, they've copied a lot of that same methodology and principles for the American propaganda machine.
And Mike, I know there's different ideologies, but could it be where you have my enemy and my enemy is my friend, with Marxism, fascism, all these different groups coming against independence. You know, globalism is a mixture of all those above, right? Like, but coming together against the common enemy, which is the individual. Right?
Well, it sounds good until you realize that ultimately the globalist government will be fascistic. They're not conquering the world to bring socialism and take care of the general population. If you look at any country enslaved to a private central bank, they are descending into fascism. And the funny thing is, Vladimir Lenin predicted that was going to happen. When Western-style capitalism failed, as it inevitably had to, killed by its own debt load, it would become fascistic to preserve the wealth, power, and position of those at the top. And the global government is going to be history's worst dictatorship just to survive the circumstances of its creation. They're not going to be able to allow free speech for people to say just how did we wind up losing our individual nations, because so much of the globalist agenda was based on fraud, like human-caused global warming, global pandemic, and so forth and so on.
Hey, Mike, you mentioned in 1984 about, like, you know, they'll remove everything about history and replace it with their own. Judge Napolitano the other day had that exact same quote from 1984, but you need to put that on the front of RBN's website. First they take the statues, then they take the books, and then if you don't agree with them, then they take you. To the cornfield, under the highway, wherever. They'll take you and then disappear you, because that's what these people are all about. They don't want any dissent. And if all else fails, they'll get rid of you.
Yeah, there'll be purges. There will be purges.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to let you go. Yeah, I have to be very honest. I'm sitting here, coming up here on my 65th birthday, and it gives me pause to reflect about how much this nation has deteriorated since I was a kid. And I understand that a lot of what I thought I knew about the country when I was a kid was a fiction. But by and large, it was still functioning close to the original constitutional model. And today, I don't think the founding fathers would recognize this country. In fact, I think if somebody had a time machine and they brought the founding fathers to America today, their reaction would either be, let's not bother starting this in the first place if it's going to turn out to be like this, or they would say, we need another revolution. Which, by the way, Thomas Jefferson actually said that. When they set up the United States of America, in his writings, he only expected it to last maybe 100 years. And by the end of that 100 years, it would be so corrupt that it would have to be brought down and replaced with another revolution. Thomas Jefferson believed constant, ongoing revolution was the natural order of things. Now, apparently there has, over between China and India, on that little section of roadway, there has now been open fighting. No deaths yet, but definitely multiple injuries. So that thing is heating up over there. And Claire and I have a friend who's headed to that part of the world, and we said, do you really want to do that? And he said, well, we don't really have a choice here at this thing. Now, do you remember last June, there was an incident where a U.S. Navy destroyer, the USS Fitzgerald, collided with a Philippine cargo vessel off the coast of Japan. 7 sailors were killed. And it looked to me like it was the destroyer's fault. They weren't following the rules of the ocean in terms of who gets right of way, because those giant cargo container ships and oil tankers, they're at the top of the list. You make way for them, because they cannot slow down very quickly. They cannot turn very quickly. If you're the more maneuverable ship, you get out of their way. And what was amazing is we were getting all these postings all over the net about this was actually a covert sneak attack by the Philippines on the U.S. destroyer, and they were willing to sacrifice the cargo vessel, and it couldn't be the Navy's fault, even though the Navy has a lot of problems. And it was amazing to see how many online shills were out there working as hard as they could to make the U.S. Navy look blameless in all of this. Well, as it turns out, the official U.S. Navy investigation has now concluded, and the commander of the USS Fitzgerald has been relieved of duty along with senior enlisted sailor, executive officer, and commanding officers. Basically, the command crew on the bridge all got handed their pink slip. And the official conclusion of the U.S. Navy is, yeah, the Fitzgerald was at fault. And I'm not hitting this to say shame on you in the Navy, although obviously somebody has messed up, but to remind everybody of all the online propagandists who are being paid to jump on in and say, oh, it was all the Philippines' fault. It was all the Philippines' fault. Because you need to remember, they are out there, these paid online operatives, trying to control the perception of the public on the internet the way they already do on TV and radio and newspapers. The good news is, here on the internet, they're not really all that effective. In fact, they seem to be a giant waste of somebody's money somewhere. But yes, it was the Fitzgerald fault. They tried to dash around the front of the cargo ship and they didn't quite make it. They should have just backed off and gone across the wake at the stern. And the Navy does have accidents. There was the USS Vincennes, accidentally shot down that Iranian passenger jet. We had the USS Greenville right here in Hawaii, that rammed that Japanese training fishing boat, literally tore it in half and killed a whole bunch of the students. By the way, this is Army rather than Navy. They have not been able to find any survivors from that crash off the west coast of Oahu earlier this week here. But yeah, the Navy does mess things up. It's kind of interesting down here overlooking Pearl Harbor, and they talk about, this tragic loss of life and the loss of the ships. And what most people don't realize is that most of the ships that were attacked by the Japanese were repaired, refloated, and put back in service. And in fact, only a total of 3 rather old, outdated ships were lost in the attack on Pearl Harbor. And it's a big historical event. But if you ask somebody if they've ever heard of the Point Honda disaster, you'll get a blank look. And yet that is actually the U.S. Navy's greatest single loss of ships. And it was the commander's fault. They were sailing up the coast of California. The visibility was not good. They made a navigational error and 9 battleships ran onto the rocks. And the remains of them are still there to this day. Oopsie. Little bit of an oopsie there. All right. Now, this is kind of cool. This is the U.S. Navy doing something I think is going to be right. And what they're doing is they're starting to use large-scale 3D printing to make some of the machinery that they need for doing what they're doing. It's just a concept submersible. It's just a test, but in under 1 month they were able to 3D print this hull, this special hull that's used by the Navy SEALs for covert operations. It can be deployed from submarines, and it's sort of a standard module. And very often, because of the way the SEALs are operating, it's something that gets used once and then gets abandoned. And so being able to make these things very inexpensively with a 3D printer would be really kind of cool. So, yeah, that's kind of fun. That would be cool to play with. All right, let's take a phone call here from George in Texas. Aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
How you doing, Mike? I watched a sort of like an hour show in Houston, combating racism in Houston, and all I heard was the same old tired solutions. They're not getting enough handouts, and that poverty is responsible for the violence and the racism and all that stuff. And the surprising thing is there was one guy, black guy that was a Facebook friend, and he sat there and says and goes, poverty and racism had nothing to do with the violence in the black inner community. He said what the problem is values, morality and values. He said because he lived through the Great Depression. He said there was no rioting, there was no violence. I said people had a different ethic back there. They they didn't get into violence during the Great Depression compared to today. It's a lack of values. Has nothing to do with poverty or anything.
Well, I mean, obviously, the gangsters were very violent, and maybe that was sort of setting a negative example where people said, we don't want to get into that kind of a thing in our community. But yeah, absolutely. I've been talking for a long time about how our nation does seem to have lost its moral compass, and a sense of values. Everybody is just focused on getting more of those pieces of paper with colored ink on them, and everything else is now subordinate to it. And they're getting that attitude from corporations and the government itself, who have reached the situation of saying what makes money is good and what doesn't make money is bad. And that's why we're being forced to buy products we don't really want, like dangerous vaccines. We're being told we have no right to know what chemicals and additives or altered genes are in the food that we eat because that might discourage us from buying the product. It's open season on the American people. And by the way, the scammers are out of control. Nobody in government seems to want to do anything about that because it's making money. And it's total fascism. That's how fascism operates.
Well, but just listen, these are the same old tired community leaders I saw on TV, and all they are is agitators, and their solution is throw gasoline on the fire, and it's more like we have to be, like white America has to feel bad for being born white. Even though we never owned slaves, we never owned slaves.
George, going to put you on hold. Don't hang up. Going to come right back to you after these commercials.
I'm getting older and noticing that my body just doesn't work as well as it used to. So I like to keep fit as possible by hitting the gym a few times a week. Recently, I started having a nagging bicep pain, and it got so bad I couldn't even lift the weights. When I was complaining about it to a friend, he told me about Angioprim. He said chelation helps remove toxins, heavy metals, and cholesterol in veins and arteries that may cause blockages. After just 1 week of taking Angioprim, the pain was gone, and now I'm back in the gym full strength. Scientific research proves the active ingredient in Angioprim has superior oral chelation action that helps promote cardiovascular health. So to learn more, go to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com, or talk to a trained consultant. Call Angioprim toll free at 877-882-7221. You'll feel better with more energy. Call 877-882-7221 or go to the website angioprim.com.
It's time for you to have your own custom smartphone app for your business and pay way less than you can imagine. Introducing the I Can Get To Silent Salesman mobile marketing app, a global mobile marketing and communication tool for your business. Go to appsapart.com and learn how you could earn up to $36,351 or more per month just by inviting 2 people or less into a $14.95 per month program. Go to appsapart.com and be sure to watch the video at the top of the site and listen to the audio message from the CEO near the bottom. This is something you won't want to miss. Go to appsapart.com now or call 646-860-9540. That's 646-860-9540. Get the I Can Get To. That's ICANGET, the number 2, Silent Salesman app at appsapart.com. That's APPSAPART.com.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at libertystickers.com. Again, that's libertystickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know. If they don't do something by and by, the rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, I mean the panic is on. Can't get no way, can't draw no pay. Unemployment getting worse every...
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show here. We're talking with George in Texas, and we're talking about anti-racism. And again, something that you need to understand is nobody's out there trying to end the racism. They're trying to fan it up and exploit it for political gain.
Well, I consider that to be treason and sedition, too. Sort of like fan up something that really doesn't exist. But sort of like probably exists among a very small minority. And, but one thing they did say, they had one police officer, Houston PD, sit there and said, the black community may complain about, the criminals and the crime problem, and they want the police to do something about it. When the police tries to do something about it, it's like they question the manner how they carry it out. Sometimes. I don't expect them to be perfect, but, the thing is, it's more like sometimes the police is in a darn if you do, darn if you don't situation.
Well, that may be part of the reason why they're becoming so aggressive and defensive, because it's a self-feeding cycle. You stop treating the population with respect, you start brutalizing them, the population starts to fight back, the brutality increases, and you reach a situation where again the police have become a force for repression.
Well, I just think we need to bring back morality. Like I say, back in the Great Depression, blacks weren't rioting, whites weren't rioting, in the Great Depression. And, like I say, the poverty thing just don't add up. And the thing is, we need to bring back values. Because you look how, you look in Black America, it's like most of the families don't have fathers in a home. And, you look at that one kid that was more like thrown out of his house by his mom because he voted for Trump at a school election. And, that's the kind of values black males are raised in.
Yes.
They go into gangs and stuff. It's like, it's a values problem. It's nothing to do with poverty or racism. It's values. And it's like, one of the best movies I ever saw was like Lean on Me, where, where it was a very conservative, values-oriented film where he said, don't blame the white man, blame yourself. The responsibility is yours. And I wish we bring that back into society for all people.
Well, the issue is again that victimhood makes for good politics. Whether you're telling women they're an oppressed class and vote for me and I'll protect you from the evil male patriarchy, or you're telling the blacks that they're disadvantaged because of the white people, vote for me and donate to my campaign, and I'll protect you from the evil white guy. This stuff is being fanned up. And again, if you look at what happened back in the 1960s under the FBI's COINTELPRO program, their agenda was to incite race hatred, to split the country apart at a time when it was starting to come together in opposition to the war in Vietnam. And certainly right now we're seeing an American population that are uniting in opposition to all these wars. You're seeing an American population that are uniting in the demand that some of these corrupt politicians finally get their day in court. And so it's divide and conquer time again. Anyway, George,
have a good weekend, Mike.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We got to take a break for station identification. We'll be right back.
Hey there, quick question for you. Would you be okay with more energy, more endurance, thicker, healthier hair, a better mood, reduced appearance of wrinkles, improved sleep, improved blood pressure and cholesterol profiles, improved vision, improved memory? Okay then. Well now, have you heard of Nature's Youth RSF? It's from the anti-aging experts at nature'syouth.com. nature'syouth.com. See, at Nature's Youth, they understand exactly what it means to provide top quality health products. And Nature's Youth customers not only improve their health, they know they're also providing their body with the right nourishment to maintain that peak performance and fight the aging process. If health, wellness, and nutrition are what you desire, choose Nature's Youth RSF. I did. You see, you're gonna get older. It's just up to you how you feel when you get there. Get started today. Nature's Youth RSF. Simple to use, simple to order. Go to nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com. nature'syouth.com.
You're listening to Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. The history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show, hour number 2. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. And I'm looking at Fox News, and I think they're wearing out or overusing that alert logo, because they just came back from the commercial break. Alert, Steve Bannon is out. Well, they've been reporting on that all morning long. It kind of undermines the whole idea of what an alert or breaking news is supposed to be. It's the same thing you've been repeating since early in the day. Of course, the whole point is to get people's attention, to feed them the misinformation or the information, to catapult the propaganda forward, as George W. Bush used to say. I got a very good letter here in the email, basically saying, I'm going to just read it verbatim. I'm not going to share any names here. Earlier this year, I had heard dialogue about the summer of rage and hoped that people would be able to see through this effort to pit people against one another. As August rolled around, I had a feeling of relief. Then Charlottesville and removal of statues. I am deeply concerned about where this is headed. Some idiot's comment on Facebook encourage more of these activities and even anarchy. They clearly have never experienced what happens when an entire country experiences civil unrest, martial law, power outages, etc. Hopefully things will calm down. Yes, we'd like to see it calm down. But for those of you who think running around and tearing down monuments and setting fires to building and throwing hot coffee on talk show hosts is what we should all be doing, take a look at what's going on in Venezuela right now. And realize that what you are doing right now is you are going to bring the United States into that same kind of chaos. Or Brazil. We're seeing it in Brazil. Now, apparently one of the statues of Robert E. Lee taken down in Baltimore has already been replaced with a statue of a pregnant black woman. And I have a feeling that that statue probably took more than a few days to make. So, all right, let's take some phone calls. Will in Cincinnati, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike, I got a theory, buddy.
Yep.
With all this, with the recent surge in attack and how they all seem to have that same MO, I'm thinking it's quite possible that maybe it's the same person or group of people, obviously group of people, but maybe the same person that's being brought in and that is throwing these together, and this is just the first tier, and we're starting off with vehicles. I think everything's accelerating, and I do not see it letting up. I think it's gonna ramp up, but I think whoever it is that's throwing this together, they have the same MO for this tier. You know what I mean?
It could be. We don't know. Obviously, when you talk about the logistics of a vehicular attack, you're kind of limited in terms of being able to wander too far away from the basic approach, which is get a vehicle, slam it into people, run away. But again, it does feel like whether they're doing this to try and get us all to hate ISIS again, so we'll go along with a new U.S. invasion of Syria. We don't know, but it almost feels like there are several competing agendas going on at the same time, and they're not talking with each other. And that's why things feel like so much chaos. And earlier today, I had a comment with Claire where I said, I think my biggest disappointment in President Trump is he's not being a president. He's not standing up and taking charge. So basically, the country is sort of running around on autopilot. And it's like, we call it the ship of state. If you don't have a steady hand on that helm, sooner or later it's going to hit the rocks.
Right. And as far as the multiple fronts goes, it really has the feel that everything is just ramping up. Everything's accelerating. And like you brought to our attention, or my attention, as soon as we had some good news on the North Korea situation, everything just went balls to the wall, and it really has the feel of not letting up anytime soon. A lot of us, sometimes we feel really insignificant, and we wonder how can we affect change, or where is our place in the great story? You know what I mean? Well, how can and sometimes we don't really feel like there's a whole lot we can do, but this right here, this information war that you're my general, Mike. I look to you as my general. This information war is the great story of our time. And when it's all said and done, what we do in this information war, it's going to be it'll be the greatest story ever told. It's I just want to encourage you and let you know that we look to you like a general, Mike, and we trust you. And I'm sending positivity and positive vibes and energy your way to renew your spirit. And I really look up to you. I don't know how you do it, Mike.
Coffee. Lots and lots of coffee. Thank you very much for those very, very kind words. Yes, there are some days I just don't want to sit down here at this computer and look at what's going on. There are some days I don't want to do the radio show because the news is just so bad. But you're right. It does feel like the situation is accelerating. It's almost like when you're running downhill and all of a sudden you realize you reached a speed where you can't stop or slow down without falling. And that kind of, it feels a lot like that right now. And the big problem is that with Trump not really showing much leadership, all of these various rogue agencies, intelligence agencies, the military-industrial complex, they're just going on out and doing what they want to do, very often at crossed purposes. I think everybody understands we're going into World War III. What they're still trying to do is find a way that they can get the American people to go along with it, or at least find a way to keep the American people from complaining about it too much.
One more thing, Mike. All this chaos being sown, and those eyes to see know that that's what. I think it's anything they can do to bring the whole system down on Trump's watch, just so they can blame it on him. Even with the war agenda, I'm not absolutely convinced he could stop the war agenda if he wanted to. I could be wrong about that. But it seems to me, obviously, we know he's got enemies on all fronts, all around him. I really think that they want to collapse. They want to bring it down on his watch so that they can blame all the chaos that comes with it on Trump. And he's just caught in the middle of it, trying to make some sense of whatever he can. Every time he gets a grip on one thing, that if the attack comes on another front, Well,
we already know Congress is trying to basically set themselves up to declare where we're going to go to war with veto-proof majorities, and basically hamstring the president on that one. I don't think anybody wants to bring our system down. I think the problem is they can't hold it off any longer, but you are absolutely correct. If it crashes while Trump is in office, they will pin the blame on him, just like they pin the blame for the Depression of the 1930s on Herbert Hoover. But Herbert Hoover did not create the Depression of the 1930s. It was created for him. You have the corporate media out here now trying to say that Trump is behind all of this white-black racial tension, but look at the last whole year before Trump was even elected. And we were seeing all the rioting and the violence that was going on there, mostly directed against the Trump supporters. by Black Lives Matter and so forth. So obviously, Trump came into a situation that was already in a major, serious deterioration. But you're absolutely right. If it falls apart while he's in the Oval Office, they're going to pin the blame on him.
They will. And shouts out to Dustin in New Jersey, Mo and Tom in Florida. Lay off the coffee, buddy. We love you. Hey, Mike, we love you. Keep up the good work. I share your show every day. Positivity your way. Thanks for taking my call, brother.
All right, you got it. We're going to let you go here now. We're going to do a shout-out to our on-air affiliates who are just now rejoining the network. And we're going to go right on back to the phones. Paul in Montana, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Mr. Rivero, two questions. Will Bannon go back to Breitbart? And number two, will Bannon spend more time on our media? I'm listening.
I certainly hope so. Ever since Bannon left Breitbart, they've been taken over and co-opted to the point of utter uselessness. And I can imagine that he probably has a position, equity position in Breitbart. So I would fully expect him to go back in and take the reins back and turn Breitbart back into a useful resource. I certainly hope that's going to be the case.
And will Mr. Bannon spend more time on the various people like you on the alternative media?
I really do not know. I mean, Breitbart has never paid any attention to me so far, and
what about Bannon?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Okay, and one more.
Yes.
About 12% of the population of America either listens to alternative media or knows people that do. Thank you. Have a good one.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to let you go. Yeah, there is no question that the independent media is gaining ground and the corporate media is struggling for survival. I think we were talking earlier in the week, CNN is like at number 15 in the overall ratings, and they're below History Channel, things like that. Reruns of old TV shows. They're not doing well at all over there. And I don't think they're going to help themselves with their current situation of screaming about how everybody who doesn't support the liberals is a fascist or a Nazi or so forth and so on. And again, historically, Nazis and fascists are two separate things. I'm amazed that Hitler and Mussolini got along at all on that regard. We're going to go back to the phones here. Rob in Illinois, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike. How you doing? Very good.
I'm hanging in today.
Oh, I know. And I would consider you more the communications officer, you know? Not the general, because you're not leading any troops. You're providing some information, and that's why I tune in. I like this speedy roll. I like you going through the topics. It helps me not have to go to 10 different stations to find things, you know?
Yeah, I was not really comfortable with the idea of being a general, but yeah, I'm a communicator, I'm an advocate, I'm a peace activist. That's really the title I prefer, is a peace activist. Although I joke with people that I'm a rabble rouser.
And you could be that. That's quite all right. We'll accept it. That's what being an American has its rights to be.
Yes.
I'm listening. I was listening to AJ for first hour, and he played some actual talking points from the other stations where they're putting out their spiel and their propaganda, and I kept hearing them say, "Oh, these car attacks in Spain or wherever else, they're being inspired by Charlottesville. They're mimicking what's going on in Charlottesville. They've already erased what's happened with all these other car attacks that have already happened in the past, like Christmas market in Berlin, December of 16, Stockholm, Sweden, April 7th, 17. You know, these all of a sudden aren't there. All of a sudden now we have Charlottesville, where, as everybody, you know, with clear minds and people that are logical have been looking at this, analyzing this, see that if it was the kid, if this was this 20-year-old in that car, it was a pure accident. Something happened. Something went wrong. He did not do this intentionally, because if he did, he would have done something. He would have swerved into the sidewalk. He would have done what this van did over in Spain, wouldn't he?
Yes.
What he did hurt a few people, and somebody, what we understand, was killed. But if he wanted to cause damage, there's a lot more he could have done. So, anyway.
Yeah, look at the numbers from Barcelona. I mean, what is it? 14 dead, 100 injured, 15 still in critical condition.
Well, you know, they keep inflating that. Yesterday it was 12 and 100, and today it's risen to 13, 14, and over 200. So we're talking, one van goes through one market and gets that many people. Now, if we look at the initial picture, undoctored picture of what happened in Charlottesville, there was all these people on both sides of this narrow alley or street they were on. He could have swung to the right, he could have swung to the left, and he would have done damage if somebody was doing it intentional. This is the worst, you know, and again, we know it's all propaganda, it's lies. I've sent you some stuff for you to look at before where they're really ripping this apart. So,
yeah, I'm seeing that, and you need to remember that video footage surfaced showing that this guy's car was being attacked. They were throwing rocks at it. They were beating on the trunk of the car with baseball bats. I mean, that would certainly motivate me to violate the local speed limit.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, we don't know if he violated the speed limit. We don't know if he had his feet on the. Again, we don't. Bottom line is, we don't even know if it was this guy in the car. You know what I mean? Because there's all this other evidence coming out. I want to move on from this for a second. The one dude that was talking about values, bringing back values. We have values. It's just a matter of using them. They're trying to corrupt our values. That's why they're going after Christianity, because Christianity has its fundamental values that, you know, this nation principally has been built upon. We have values. It's just a matter that they're trying to demoralize us and make a hit on Christianity, why that's where the Caucasians come into act, because Caucasians are mostly Christians, are they not? Mostly, mainly, for the most part, and we have the value system, and they're trying to demoralize us and attack us for that. I don't believe any of this is truly that they think we're racist. They just want to use this as a weapon.
They're trying to put a label on us, and again, part of it is they're trying to basically rebrand Trump supporters who wanted to make America great. Well, now they're all racists and white supremacists and KKKers. And I think part of the plan there is that for next year's midterm elections, they want to make people actually ashamed to vote GOP in order to try and get the Democrats back in control of both houses of Congress, along with all the massive election fraud that's going to be taking place.
They want to put a label on us. We are Trump supporters in a manner as we got a guy in there where we have a lot of belief in. We are hopeful that he will do something good to start reversing some of this damage that's been done to this country and maybe level it out so we have some type of playing field that we can all work with. But mostly we're all patriots in the factor that we see this American Constitution that there's nothing better than it in the whole world, and this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to take that, throw it in the fireplace, and put their global law here. Now, without that American Constitution, you know what? It's all for naught. You know, who do we want to live? We already know what kind of things they're doing in Europe, where they make these laws where the line is so thin that if you cross it, next thing you know, you're doing a 25-year prison term.
Yes.
You know, and they slaughter your name all over the place, and you know your family can't make a living. That's what they're doing. They're trying to do that here.
They've been doing it here. That's what happened to Claire and I 23 years ago in 1994. Yeah. We found evidence of a murder, and we tried to do the honorable thing, see something, say something, and I was smeared all over Hollywood, and my career was ended. So yeah, that's how they operate. They did the same thing to Gene Seberg as part of COINTELPRO back in the 1960s. It's how these people like to operate.
There's a long list of names on that, and you know, you took something, you went out on principle, you took a risk, and they got you for it, and that's unfortunate. And there's a long list like that, but you know what? That's where they're using that over our heads. So the rest of us are, you know, do we take that step forward? Do we stand up? Because do we want to be labeled? What are they going to, you know, they're going to do to us what they did to you and Claire and this other long list. But you know what? The fact is, if we don't do anything, again, it's all going to be for naught, because they'll take that Constitution and they're going to burn it, and literally we will have no other option. So if we're going to do something, stand up for our rights and talk and share and speak out between the differences of good and evil, we need to do it now. Yes, they're going to come after us, but you know, as I say, hang individually or together, you know.
Yes, absolutely. Good old Ben Franklin there. All right. Well, let's see. I need to, okay, we're coming up here on another commercial break. We've got about 30 seconds here. And if I sound distracted, it's because my web server is now under very intense hacker attack, and I'm trying to deal with that along with BAM user issues and everything else here.
Mm-hmm.
So,
they don't want the truth out there, Mike.
No, of course
they just don't like us talking.
Of course they don't. And you know something? It really annoys me. These people who take these jobs to go on out and try and stifle dissent, and they think it's fun. They get to, be slightly wicked, and they don't really understand the damage they're doing to our nation with their little games. And
we're talking about 2 generations of people that have been dumbed down, playing violent video games, and incited and paid to incite. That's
all
what
right,
we're talking about.
Rob, we got to let you go. Got to take a break for commercials. We'll be right back. Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge $20, $30, $40, $50, if possible, $100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Many people write us about their experience with Extendivite. Allow me to read a few from Amazon.com. Dr. Sam Serino reviewed the Extendivite product. Good ingredients, feeling much better since taking product. It seems that the tablets work well. Once again, thank you for your product. My acid reflux has really improved thanks to the Extendivite. Together with my thumb joints, the pain is gone and I'm able to grip things much better. My friend has peripheral arterial disorder and their lower legs were hurting in a red color, but thankfully there has been a significant improvement. Kind regards, Janice. My husband feels a big difference using Extendivite. Thank you. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
If you got the money, honey, we got the bombs. We'll plant 'em anywhere you like and blow up anyone. Whip this world into a frenzy, killing babies, dads, and moms. If you got the money, honey, we got the bombs. If you got the money, well, we won't say we did. The towers in New York.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show here. And by the way, the good news for all of you is I finally went ahead and I ordered a replacement for this mixer here. So it should be here next Tuesday. No more scratchy noises or anything like that. and then I'll take this one out in the parking lot and burn it to ashes and dance around it with a stick like Kevin Costner. We're going to go back to the telephones here. Ramsey in Canada. Aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
I hear you just fine.
Yeah, thank you. You see, sir, I just want to tell you something. I just came from Brazil, and I did a history tour there, and they have a lot of statues there and everything, just like the United States and everywhere else. And see, sir, the black people in Brazil are not going around saying we have to bring down the statues of all the Portuguese kings. That when Brazil was the Portuguese colony, they talked about the statues, they talked about the history, and explaining to you what happened to the explain to the Europeans or tourists or whatever. So see, sir, like the black people in the United States, the Black Lives Matter, and all these people saying we have to bring down the statues, they're damaging their own history.
Yes.
It's not just like the history of the country. So like these people, they're it's not like they're improving the education system in the United States. They're actually, people like them are making it worse.
I would agree with you. I mean, all of these Confederate monuments, and we're hearing this from a lot of people, like even Condoleezza Rice came on out and said those monuments are a reminder that there was a time in this country when there was slavery. And in point of fact, there was slavery in the United States of America from the moment of its creation until the Emancipation Proclamation. And it was definitely there. And by erasing all the Confederate monuments, in the long run, these exploitative politicians aren't going to be able to say, remember when you were all slaves, because these people are going to say, really? When was all that about? I don't see anything in the museums or anything about that.
Exactly.
It's going to be a hard sell.
Yeah. And also, sir, the Black Lives Matter people, they should be talking about the problems today of their own people. Like if you look at the record, a lot of people are getting killed, they're getting robbed, and black people, innocent blacks, that are being damaged by blacks themselves. They should be talking about the problems today, or the problems like 10 years ago, not the problems of the Civil War or the 19th century or whatever.
Well, you've hit on an important point. Okay, right now the Democratic Party doesn't have any solutions for what's going on in the inner cities. They don't have a solution to the drug problem, mostly because they're up to that drug operation in their necks. They can't fix anything that's happening now. They can't fix Fukushima. They can't fix Hanford. They don't want to deal with the toxic vaccines or GMO food. So they're going to reach back to this issue from 150 years ago and try to make it a rallying cry for votes for next year's midterm elections. And that's really what it's all about. They can't solve any of our current problems, so they're going to make an issue out of something that happened before any of us were born.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thanks an awful lot. And we're going to switch over to Jim in Chicago. Jim, I'm probably going to have to take you to the commercial break, but take it away.
Hello, Michael.
Hi.
A couple of things that are really disturbing me. Number one, like your caller from Texas stated, there's a lack of morality throughout the country. Not just what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia. The other thing, and I agree with you, there's a lack of leadership from this president. And can you tell me, why didn't he call the governor of Virginia, who he knows very well? He didn't call the parents of the young lady that was murdered, and he didn't call the family members of those two state troopers that were killed in that accident.
Those are all very, very good questions. He may have, and it's simply not being reported. But you need to remember that right now Trump is in New Jersey for what is a working vacation, and the lines of communication are not as solid as if he was still at the White House, which apparently is undergoing a renovation right now.
But is that really making an excuse for him?
I'm sorry?
Is that making an excuse for him, though?
No, that's not making an excuse. I'm just saying there are some realities that may be indicative that we're not getting all the information we really ought to be.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
yeah.
So Jim, stay on the line, okay, sure. And we'll come right back to you after the commercial break.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, 2, keep it today.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
Extendivite is more than just a heart tonic. Most basic diseases are caused by yeast in the gut and metals in the liver, and we all have a bit of both. The garlic in Extendivite has a yeast-killing effect in the gut while also helping the sulfur enzyme in the liver get rid of the metals. Extendivite just may improve your overall health. Products like Extendivite are the only way we are going to get our society healthy. And if you're waiting for the government and pharmaceutical care to solve your health problems, you're going to have a long, disappointing wait, I think. Extendivite is a complete formula for extended life in the new millennium. 80 can be the new 60. Extendivite is available in capsule or liquid form for just $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To get started, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Without the right accessories, any guy can be off the mark. Whether you've invested thousands in your arsenal or you own a single trusted firearm, a visit to AROutfitting.com is in order. It's one of the finest online selections of tactical optics and AR parts and add-ons, like EOTech, quick target acquisition with no peripheral loss. Browse the full range of Nikon scopes and binoculars. AirOutfitting.com can illuminate your world with Streamlight gun-mounted lights from keychain to large handhelds up to 1,100 lumens. Find some stability with Battenfield tactical bipods. AirOutfitting.com has CMMG gun parts, barrels, assemblies, handguards, part kits, and more. Plus mag-full clips and magazines. I know I've got you excited, so take a breath. Head to AirOutfitting.com. The site's super easy to navigate and features a ton of technical info, including links to manuals. We also welcome vendor and manufacturer inquiries. Remember, if you don't see it, we can get it at AirOutfitting.com.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show. And we're still talking with Jim in Chicago, and we're talking about public perception in the wake of all of this, because we're seeing the groups like the Antifa and Black Lives Matter are out there screaming that white people are all racist and white people are all Nazis and everything else. And sometimes I don't think they realize how it's going to look to the general public. they made that same miscalculation when they were rioting after Hillary lost the election, where they basically, the American people just said, this is ridiculous, this is out of control. If they really think they're going to change the nation, they have to court that public support, and they're not doing that right now. And I don't think they realize that not only are they not making the white people look particularly bad and evil, what they're doing is they're making themselves, Antifa and Black Lives Matter, look bad, look like vandals and criminals, and worse, that's going to be tarnishing the image of their particular ethnic communities. Because just like Black Lives Matter and Antifa are out there saying all whites are racist and all whites are this and all whites are that, people are just going to get into the habit of looking at Black Lives Matter and Antifa and say, well, all blacks are like that. And there's going to be a pushback from within the communities of those people. And a good example of that is I just got this wonderful email that is a response to one of the earlier callers on our show today. And I want to read you this email verbatim. And again, no names. But the letter goes, not all blacks come from single-family households, and those that do are not all in jail, gangs, or any other negative situation like dead. Just like you don't like being lumped or referred to all whites, it's not right to facilitate that all blacks are the same. To think that a movie reflects our true lives is part of the problem. You don't get to know people that are not like you. So therefore, when you call in, you're talking about what you saw in a movie. Whether you are black or white, when all of your friends look like you, you have no clue or right to assume you know the issues that affect someone else. Very well written. Very well written indeed. So, Jim, what is your comment on all this?
Well, I will have to agree with you because, as I was on hold, I was thinking about the movie Missing and the movie The Killing Fields. I mean, everyone should go watch those movies over the weekend. Because if you start tearing down one particular monument, then you start tearing that particular monument, we're not going to have a history, and you're going to have individuals who will kill you or put you in a camp if you disagree anything that they have. And this is why I support the monuments. If people want to take them down, vote on it, or have a hearing on it. I don't have a problem with the Confederate flag. That's their right, even though it shows that they lost. But the fact is, this is America, and it seems like we're not too long to be disappearing. I was raised in the 50s and 60s, and when there were real discrimination, and things weren't as bad as they are right now.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And the racism down south did linger on. I'll share a little story with you. Many years ago when I was still earning my living as a professional magician, I did a summer on board a real Mississippi riverboat, the Mississippi Queen, which unfortunately was scrapped a few years ago. But I remember we would pull in at Natchez under the hill, and I would walk up the road to Natchez on the hill, where they had a lot of really great antique stores and everything. And I remember this one time I'm walking up the hill, and there's this very old, frail-looking black lady pulling this wooden cart. And so I just walk on up, and I just say hi, and I grab one of the two handles, and I'm helping her get the cart up to the top of Natchez on the hill. And she's staring at me all the time. And then we come up at the top of the hill, and there's all these other people around staring at me. And I realized that racism is being reinforced generation after generation after generation after generation, that they expected, because I was perceived as white, to behave a certain way, and I wasn't going along with that. Hey dudes, I'm from California. And, so it sometimes seems like, parents will do a serious injustice to their children by passing on to them, their own perceptions of their victimhood. And in a way, going back to my comment about beliefs being chains to enslave free minds, these young people of various ethnic minorities are growing up already convinced of certain realities that may be simply not there at all. It's just a misperception.
I would agree with you. And my final note, do you think Donald Trump is not getting good advice regarding what happened in Charlottesville, or the fact that he just can't help himself when it comes to trying to say something?
Well, I wish he would be a little bit more careful thinking through what he's going to say before He says it. On the other hand, if he doesn't comment immediately, he gets criticized anyway. So it's darned if you do and darned if you don't. We do know that Donald Trump is being controlled by the control of the information reaching him. And we have had people out there just openly saying, yeah, we're going to control Donald Trump by feeding him false information. We know the CIA lied to Donald Trump about the gas attack in Idlib, saying that they had absolute 100% proof Assad did it. And yet we know he didn't because the story itself just was absurd on the face of it. So yeah, Donald Trump is not getting good information. He needs to start developing a kitchen cabinet, which is an unofficial group of advisors from outside the Beltway that he can call on and say, how does it look from out there? And if you think about the legends of King Arthur, that was a big part of what Merlin was. Merlin was the one person Arthur could talk to who could step to any level of society. He wasn't confined to court. He wasn't confined to the knights or the middle class or the merchant class or the scum of the earth down below. Merlin could travel anywhere and find out what was really going on and bring that information back unfiltered. And that's what Trump is missing. He's missing his Merlin.
Well, I volunteer you for that job, and not Alex Jones. So.
Well, thank you, and Trump knows where to reach me. But again, I'm holding out for head of NASA.
Right. Okay, take care.
All right, thanks an awful lot. And speaking of holding out for NASA, I did have somebody write on in asking once again for information on how to safely view the Monday eclipse. And we put up a page from NASA, and apparently there are a lot of businesses that have special packaging on their products that can be used safely to look at the eclipse. Apparently one of the big pizza chains, there's a little packet that comes with the pizza box, and then you can turn the pizza box into a camera, a pinhole camera, to look at the eclipse safely. So there's all kinds of different ways to do it. And again, if you're anywhere near the path of totality, make the effort to go see this. It's on my bucket list. I can't make this one. I mean, we'll see a partial eclipse here, but that's all we're going to get. All right, let's get on back to the news here. Over in Great Britain, as their pound continues to drop because of all the turmoil over the Brexit, they're starting to realize that this deal to acquire the F-35 boondoggle on wings is going to cost the taxpayers even more, because it's being priced obviously in U.S. dollars, and as the exchange rate continues to decline, it will take more pounds to get those dollars to buy those aircraft. And a lot of people are really starting to say this is not a good idea when you realize just how astonishingly bad this aircraft really is, trying to do what it's going to do. All right, we're going to take another phone call. Lenny in Los Angeles, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike, how you doing? First, I want to commend you on taking the time to read that letter. And I mean, if I had thought about it for 1,000 hours, I could not have said it better. All right, and a lot of these people. It was exceptional. That's a point I wanted to make. It was exceptionally well written, and by that virtue alone, tells you that some of the stereotypes people have about ethnic minorities are simply not accurate. It was very well thought out, very well written. And once again, I want to commend you on taking the opportunity to balance out the energy that's being thrown, like out, this way, because everything is pitting everybody against everyone else. Now, I want to speak to the so-called black celebrities and politicians. Now, I don't know if you ever have, but you may want to read the book Animal Farm. Okay, and you may want to read it as quick as you can, because if you remember in the book, and I do agree with Oliver Stone, by the way, we're in George Orwell's 1984, but we're also in that Animal Farm. To all these people who think that they're going to get special treatment, like the chickens or whoever who helped the animals overthrow the humans, only to realize they were the next people to be gotten rid of, or they were the next species to be gotten rid of. Okay, but if you want to sell your soul of your own free will, making yourselves look bad, and we know that George Soros is behind this. We know this. We know that he's financing both sides. We just haven't gotten to to the so-called Maidan revolution, well, you're going to get shooting on both sides. And both sides are going to be blamed, and it's going to fan the flames even further. We're in the midst of it. We're in the midst, and I want to commend you again. Thank you so much for taking the time to read that letter. That just quelled a lot of people who were just being used by the law of inertia to view us in a negative way, not realizing what was happening to them. But the lady, whoever wrote it, is right in the sense that a lot of you get your perception from Hollywood, okay? And not everybody is a pimp. Not everybody is a prostitute, okay? And like we said yesterday, there were a lot more black inventors that were given credit for. But thank you so much for your time to do that and for balancing out the equation here.
All right. Well, you're very, very welcome. And, I mean, Hollywood is not even in the business of showing you reality. And supposedly the corporate media is doing that job, but they aren't either. They're filtering, they're distorting, they're warping. They're out there trying to sell you the idea that, the Russians are evil. We were watching this, new TV show, Salvation. And it was all about bad Russians, bad Russians, bad Russians. Again, that's what the entertainment industry has always been used for, going all the way back to when J. Edgar Hoover, before he was head of the FBI, he was out in Hollywood, even then, saying your job is to support the government agenda on that movie screen.
And what
or on that radio show.
And what did Ben Affleck say just recently? You'd be crazy if you think that Hollywood is not supported by the government and its agenda. Okay?
Oh,
you would
there's
be
no
crazy.
question.
Okay? And so I do agree with him. But to the gentleman in Texas, you don't have to go back to the Depression era to find that when we had respect for ourselves. We had it just recently here before the government hired Freeway Ricky Ross to sell him start selling the drugs into the black community to devalue them. Before then, the black community in Los Angeles particularly was very strong. But the black community in the South, even though things are divided, they have always had respect for themselves. And Malcolm X would always say this to the so-called blacks in the West and the blacks in the North: stop putting down the blacks in the South. As long as you're south of the Canadian border, you're from the South. And I want to say this to all of America: we're all slaves right now. We're all being sold by the politicians to the bankers, souls and all.
Yeah, that's another reason.
I appreciate it.
All right, well, you got it. We're going to drop you. Thank you very much for the phone call here. But you're absolutely right. First of all, Hollywood is very controlled by the government. There's Operation Mockingbird. It's not confined just to the TV news. We know that while he was head of the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover had his hand in almost everything going out in Hollywood. When Oliver Stone announced he was going to do the movie about JFK, somebody at the studio stole a copy of the first draft screenplay, and then the corporate media started attacking Oliver Stone based on what was in that first draft. Now, if you know anything about motion picture production, you know that first draft is not carved in stone. If it's in the first draft, doesn't mean it's going to be in the final release. It's basically a starting point on a very long process. But somebody stole that first draft, they leaked it to the media, and the media immediately went on the warpath against Oliver Stone over all of this stuff. All right, I'm going to get a couple, one more story before we go back to the phones here, wrapping up the military aspect of the show. You know the X-37B robotic space shuttle, big hush-hush secret. It's been on a couple of missions in space that last very, very long time. Latest word is they're going to put it back into orbit next month and see whatever it is it's supposed to be doing. All right, let's go back to the phones. William in Florida, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Michael. Hey, is this a politically correct station here? Are you broadcasting PC?
Not on this show.
Okay. Is it allowable to say rotten redneck?
Was that the end of the sentence?
Well, that's the beginning of the sentence.
Okay. Well, we don't like to just throw labels and caustic name calling around, but on the other hand, we're not going to tread lightly on subjects because somebody might be offended, because it's impossible to go through life without offending somebody.
Right.
No matter what you say, somebody on the planet's going to be upset. Oh, that offends me. That offends me.
Can I use the word
I need
nigger?
Play-Doh. Well, I definitely do not want you to use that word.
Why is that?
Because that's only going to add fuel to those who want to attack the independent media to say that we're all a bunch of white racists and white supremacists. Anyway, we're coming up on a commercial break here. Thank you very much for the phone call, and we're going to let you go there. When we come on back here, we're coming up on the top of the hour and the lovely Lady Claire, and we've got some economic news to cover here. Some of it is really very grim. Over in New York City, 1 out of every 7 public school students is homeless. This in New York City, which is supposed to be the economic center of the United States of America, and 1 out of every 7 public school children is homeless. Article that came out of Investment Watch blog. A disaster waiting to happen. Retail sales still weak. The rental units are collapsing. Basically, it says what I've been saying all along. The consumers have run out of spending money, and it's all going to lock up. And apparently the stock market did not have their traditional happy ending for a Friday. They're blaming that on Trump and Steve Bannon. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
Imagine a pill that can improve your focus, your memory, your sleep. A catalyst to improve your brain chemistry. Dr. Bill's Cognition Plus is truly the smarter in an hour pill. A combination of amino acids, trace minerals, and B vitamins, Cognition Plus is made with specialized herbal extracts that will enhance and support brain function. Our customers say,
I feel more focused.
My memory's getting better.
I can work longer with more useful hours.
Power up your neurotransmitters that have been depleted, like dopamine and norepinephrine. Stimulate the release of others, like serotonin and oxytocin. Improve circulation and energy production. Protect your mind and your loved ones today. Order Dr. Bill Deagle's Cognition Plus at 888-212-8871 or go online to NutriMedical.com. That's 888-212-8871 or NutriMedical.com.
This is Dr. Bill Deagle of the NutriMedical Report, 12 to 3, Monday to Friday. Call-ins are welcome to the show. You can order at 888-212-8871 or NutriMedical.com.
You've probably heard about all the great benefits of goat milk soap. But did you know some companies take shortcuts? At Old New England Soap, we make our organic goat's milk soap using 36% goat's milk. That's 17% more than most others. Our bars are larger, so they last longer, producing lots of lather packed with vitamins. And our soap is a natural moisturizer that smooths dry and damaged skin. Order online at oldnesoap.com. That's oldnesoap.com. You've tried the rest. Now try the best. oldnesoap.com.
Water-based soaps on supermarket shelves use harsh chemical acids to break down dead skin cells. And that's just not good for you. At Old New England Soap, our soaps are made without chemical ingredients, contain no alcohol or petroleum products, and use 85% organic materials and carry the USDA's organic certification. Try some today. Go to oldnesoap.com. That's oldnesoap.com. oldnesoap.com.
It's time for you to have your own custom smartphone app for your business and pay way less than you can imagine. Introducing the I Can Get To Silent Salesman mobile marketing app, a global mobile marketing and communication tool for your business. Go to appsapart.com and learn how you could earn up to $36,351 or more per month just by inviting 2 people or less into a $14.95 per month program. Go to appsapart.com and be sure to watch the video at the top of the site and listen to the audio message from the CEO near the bottom. This is something you won't want to miss. Go to appsapart.com now or call 646-860-9540. That's 646-860-9540. Get the I Can Get 2. That's ICANGET, the number 2, Silent Salesman app at appsapart.com. That's APPSAPART.com.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. Join Mike on the air. Call toll-free 800-313-9443. 800-313-9443.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show here. And getting on into the economic news. Basically, the government likes to have scapegoats, corporate media. What's wrong with the economy? Oh, you're not spending enough money. We don't have it to spend. That's the reality. Rob Schneider is out there saying the real problems is in the United States. There are now 140 million people at or near the poverty line. 54% of our children are suffering from chronic illnesses, big moneymaker for the medical industrial complex. And we have a corporate media whose job is to keep us all bamboozled so we don't figure out what's going on in our lives, in our country. Now, a while back I was commenting on how the money junkies really didn't learn any lessons from 2008 because they didn't have to. The losses were dumped onto the American people with TARP and bailout and quantitative easing. The rich got to stay rich and the poor were made poorer. And they started making the same mistakes all over again. And I was talking about how recently they've started doing subprime auto loans and bundling those. And guess what? To nobody's surprise, the subprime auto delinquencies have now spiked to a 10-year high. I've had a lot of people write on in, and they're tired of hearing me complain about our now 18-year-old Honda. Say, just, look at the prices. Just go on out and get a car loan. You got a decent credit rating. I don't want a car loan. I don't want any loan that I don't absolutely know I can pay off. And I don't understand why the bankers don't seem to get that. I mean, we're being deluged with ads for a credit card this and credit line that and loan this and loan that. I absolutely put those in the shredder. Everybody in this country right now should be working as hard as they can to get rid of what debt they have. Not take on more debt. And finally, a very worrying story. This apparently over in the London Stock Exchange building. One of the major bankers, they're not releasing the name, but saying he was one of the major players. Apparently there's this glass walkway that's in the atrium in the middle of the building, and he just walked out onto the middle of it, in front of witnesses, and said, the end is coming, get out while you still can, and then he jumped over the railing and fell to his death on the floor below. That, I think, is crazy. All right, we're going to take one more phone call. Dan out of Atlantic City. Aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike. Thanks for taking my call. I was talking with a friend of mine the other day, and he seems to think that, and you were talking about the Navy destroyer. Now, it was in I think you said it was in the South China Sea, and I think, we're not supposed to be there. And I think what happened was that they tried to ram the ship.
Well, first of all, the Navy has concluded that the Fitzgerald was at fault, and they basically relieved the command crew of their duties. Thank you for the phone call, Dan. We got to take a break for station identification. We'll be back with the lovely Lady Claire after these few words.
Without the right accessories, any guy can be off the mark. Whether you've invested thousands in your arsenal or you own a single trusted firearm, a visit to AROutfitting.com is in order. It's one of the finest online selections of tactical optics and AR parts and add-ons, like EO Tech, quick target acquisition with no peripheral loss. Browse the full range of Nikon scopes and binoculars. AROutfitting.com can illuminate your world with Streamlight gun-mounted lights from keychain to large handhelds up to 1,100 lumens. Find some stability with Battenfield tactical bipods. AirOutfitting.com has CMMG gun parts, barrels, assemblies, handguards, part kits, and more. Plus mag-full clips and magazines. I know I've got you excited, so take a breath. Head to AirOutfitting.com. The site's super easy to navigate and features a ton of technical info, including links to manuals. We also welcome vendor and manufacturer inquiries. Remember, if you don't see it, we can get it at AirOutfitting.com.
This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here, hour number 3. And if Bam User was working, this gorgeous creature sitting next to me would be is the lovely Lady Claire. So just imagine her in your mind, or go on out to a search engine and get a really gorgeous bikini babe and tape it over the computer screen. And you can look at that while Claire is out here with her unique perspective on the world. Mm-hmm. Okay. You realize we could be doing this show totally naked and nobody would know. What's the first thing on your story list here?
This comes to us from Max Slavo's blog, the Hits the Fan, and was written by a gentleman for whom I have a lot of respect. His name is Jeremiah Johnson. And he's talking about a domestic destabilization being underway. The left is fueling and funding tensions in order to exacerbate them and cause a revolution. And the article goes on to state that under the guise of political correctness, cities such as Baltimore, Maryland, are removing their Confederate monuments one by one and under the cover of darkness. Here is reported by CBS News. The Robert E. Lee and Thomas J. Stonewall Jackson Monument at Wyman Park Dell was removed with a crowd watching. The Robert B. Taney Monument in Mount Vernon also came down. Crews are on the site of the Confederate Women's Monument at University Parkway to take that one down.
Oh, we need the feminists to go on out there and make a big stink about that.
Yeah. This comes just days after the Baltimore City Council passed a resolution on Monday calling for the immediate destruction of these documents. Monuments. And there it is, straight out of the movie The Patriot with Mel Gibson, as with the character he played, Benjamin Martin. An elected legislature can trample a man's rights as easily as a king. Now, I respect this author and have frequently linked to his articles at this website, but I do disagree with him respectfully on this issue. And Mike, here's why. I think that this destabilization which is underway is more a product of the deep state in order to get an effort for Trump to declare martial law and suspend the Constitution and Bill of Rights. Then the warmongers can proceed with all the wars they have hatched against North Korea, Iran, Russia, China, and all peaceful logical criticism of these wars will be forbidden.
Until after they lose, and then of course we're going to wag our fingers and said, we tried to tell you.
Yeah.
You wouldn't listen.
And if people persist with their criticism, they may well be jailed or worse. And if you don't think that the U.S. is prepared for a war against Russia and China, it's important that you read the following article, and I linked to the Paul Craig Watson's article, Washington Plans to Nuke Russia and China. Guys, this, I swear, it's about as real as a heart attack. Well, I decided that we needed to have something a little bit light because of the general darkness of the news this last week.
Okay.
So this is from the state of California's You Can't Make This Stuff Up department. 1 year in jail for using the wrong transgender pronoun. I am not making this up, folks. A new bill is being considered by the California State Senate, which would punish people who willfully and repeatedly refuse to use a transgender resident's preferred name or pronouns in a public health, retirement, or housing institution. The bill, SB 2119, was proposed by State Senator Scott Weiner, Democrat, San Francisco. It includes several other provisions that would require a health facility, for example, to honor the gender identity of a patient, meaning that the patient must be admitted to a room that comports with his or her or their chosen gender status, allowed to use whatever bathroom they want and wear whatever clothing or cosmetics they decide to wear. It's gone through several amendments, and CBN News notes fines for repeat offenders could be as high as $1,000 and a jail term of up to 1 year. I mean, folks, this is proof positive that the state of California has gone absolutely over the edge, barking dog mad.
No, what's really going on here is when you see this kind of legislation happening, it's because they can't do anything else.
Yeah.
They can't fix the broken water mains, the broken infrastructure. They can't fix California's economy. They can't do anything about the illegal immigrants.
Yeah.
But in order to justify their continued
existence
in the legislature,
Yeah.
they're going to make up all these kind of nonsense laws to make it look like they're actually doing something. It almost reminds me of this movie called The Deal of the Century, which was Chevy Chase, Sigourney Weaver, and it was all about this this salesman for this arms company that was trying to make a deal with the South American government. And down there, the leader of the country is on TV saying, yes, we're going to have to raise taxes, we have to buy more weapons, and it's all the fault of those loose people in our society, and so we're passing a law requiring women to wear dresses in the workplace instead of pants. I mean, this is life imitating art. This is exactly what it is. It's total nothing.
Yeah.
But it's a signal that the California legislature is understanding they cannot, in fact, fix any of the problems with the state of California.
Right.
We're going to do a shout out now to our on-air affiliates who are just now rejoining our network. And what is next?
Caught on tape. Spanish police kill 5 terrorists in separate plot from the one in Barcelona.
Easy for you to say.
Yes. The police force for Spain's Catalonia region said its troopers shot and killed 4 suspects and wounded a 5th in a resort town south of Barcelona to respond to a terrorist attack. The regional police said in a tweet that they are investigating whether the Cambrils suspects are wearing explosive vests. Its officers plan to carry out several controlled explosions. The force says that it is working on the theory that the Cambrils suspects are linked to the Barcelona attack, as well as to a Wednesday night explosion in the town of Alcanar, in which 1 person was killed. They said that the 5th suspect was shot in the resort town of Cambrils, and he's died. 6 civilians have been injured. Police early Friday morning said 4 suspects had been killed in the town south of Barcelona during the police operation to respond to a terrorist attack. Now, my heart and my prayers go out to all of the people who were killed, who were injured, and all of their families and friends. I just hope and pray that this does not become the new normal for Europe. But as you said earlier, Mike, I'm very interested in how the U.S. Is going to spin this as a justification. Remember what Rahm Emanuel used to say, never let a good crisis go to waste.
Well, it hardly began with him.
No, I know.
You know, that's how politicians are always going to work. And yeah, they're going to wag ISIS at us in order to try and build popular support to go back into Syria. They're not ready to let Syria go back to being its own boss here. And the other issue, of course, is to try and get Spain to, or Catalonia, notice it's happening in Catalonia, to rethink separation, to bring them closer into the U.S. coalition. Well, if that was the goal, it's backfired because apparently authorities in Catalonia are approaching Russia for assistance in dealing with terrorism. And I'm sure from their point of view, Russia has been thwarting all these terror attacks on their territory. Meanwhile, the terrorists always seem to succeed in Europe and the United States of America, no matter what the government does. So here's where the false flags have really come back to bite the U.S. on its rear end, because it's manufactured an image that we're all wide open to terrorism. And so why would Catalonia ask for U.S. help in dealing with terrorism as opposed to a country that seems to have a good grip on the problem?
So I have to wonder what is going to be coming out of the White House on Monday in terms of using this as a way, or as a bridge, if you will, to build support for going back into Syria and maybe going into Iran. Because remember, President Trump's timeline on Iran was October. He wanted to have a working plan in place.
Well, they wanted to go back into North Korea on September, which is only a couple of weeks away here.
Yep. Yeah. And I'm going on to another article, and I think this is really, really critical. Digital activists slam tech firms for banning neo-Nazi websites. As social media and internet companies scramble to ban or otherwise cut ties with extremist and far-right websites like the neo-Nazi Daily Stormer, which were unceremoniously dropped by the likes of GoDaddy, Google, and security firm Cloudflare earlier this week, after helping to organize last week's deadly Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, a prominent nonprofit has come forward to defend them. The Electronic Frontier Foundation, or EFF, best known for its activism surrounding net neutrality, has a simple message. Even though you don't agree with their message, banning people from the internet is a slippery slope, which is why it is called on domain name companies like Google and GoDaddy to draw a hard line and not necessarily remove websites based solely on their content. This is an organization that I think really understands what the First Amendment is all about.
They do. They always have. Yeah. They've been around for a very long time. They do excellent work trying to protect the Bill of Rights in cyberspace. And they're absolutely right. The time has come to treat the internet as a public utility. And to basically regulate it the same way that you would telephones or radio or anything else, to say that you have got to work in the best interest of the general population, not for the maximum profitability. Right. And that the Bill of Rights does apply in cyberspace the same as it does anywhere else. Now, the historical precedent is definitely there, because originally when the Bill of Rights was written and they talked about freedom of speech and freedom of the press, that was basically all that you had for communications. You talked to each other or you printed a newspaper. But as new technologies have come along, the Supreme Court has consistently ruled that same First Amendment protection applies to the new technologies. When the telegraph came along, and then the telephone, and then radio, and then TV, and now the internet as well. Right. Okay, you have taken your cursor off your page.
Oh, could you?
Okay. All right, try again.
Thank you. Thank you. On the financial front, apparently the U.S. is now twice as likely to default than Germany. And you've got market turmoil, stocks down a few percentage points from all-time record highs, is being pinned on various factors from North Korea, Trump and Cohn, to terrible retailer earnings and anxiety. This comes to us again, by the way, from Zero Hedge. We suspect that the real cause of market uncertainty is starting to peek through. The looming debt ceiling crisis that has become too big and too imminent to ignore. Of course, uncertainty in the White House is starting to make investors realize that the chance of successfully navigating the debt ceiling crisis without a government shutdown are dwindling. With the T-bill market pricing in serious disruption at the end of September, the risk of a technical default for U.S. Treasury debt is starting to rise and starting to spike relative to Germany. And as Mike just mentioned, please remember, September is only a couple of weeks away. And try to plan the best you can economically for it. Okay? Again, from Zero Head, Armageddon risk returns. North Korea predicts catastrophe as massive U.S. war games begin Monday.
And by the way, a lot of warplanes, training missions overhead, doing that turning and burning thing and rattling the windows again.
Yeah. Now, these exercises are scheduled to go from next Monday through the 31st of August. And the total number of troops, and this surprised me because it's huge, Mike, 75,000 troops. That's a lot of people.
That is a lot of people.
Yeah. And my sense is the tensions over North Korea may have temporarily declined, but they are not over by a long shot. And this is precisely the kind of orangutan-esque, chest-thumping martial behavior on the part of the South Korean and U.S. military that North Korea has consistently decried and asked both countries to stop.
Now, in terms of South Korea, the new president, Moon Jae-in, wants to pull back from this.
Yes.
Unfortunately, apparently he is being constrained by his military the way Trump is being constrained by our military. And notice that these games end literally on the day when we are told the war with North Korea is supposed to happen for real. So I think we can expect there's going to be a false flag of some kind. Remember the Cheosan? That was a South Korean warship was involved in an exercise, and it was torpedoed and sunk. And immediately they said, oh, there'd been a North Korean submarine in the area who just for no reason other than he felt like it, torpedoed the South Korean ship. And they hauled the wreckage of the torpedo up from the bottom of the ocean, and they put it on display along with the blueprint of the standard North Korean torpedo used in their submarines. And that's where it all fell apart, because careful examination showed that the torpedo wreckage did not match the blueprints. Certain key components were in totally the wrong location and gave it away that the actual torpedo used to sink the Cheosan more than likely is a model made by Israel for export to several different countries, but not North Korea.
Right, right. And now that Bannon is out of the White House, President Trump is dealing with two president whisperers, Mattis and Kelly.
Yes.
Who are very much pro the concept of a war against North Korea. So it's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds. And Mike, I've got some breaking news regarding Bannon. He did what I thought was the ultimate gesture of friendship and loyalty to President Trump. He announced that on his leaving, he's going to go to war in behalf of President Trump and against the media.
So he's going back to Breitbart.
That was not specifically stated, but
I hope he does.
I hope he does too, because from there he can be effective.
Because Breitbart has been a total disaster since he left. It was hijacked and taken over, and they've lost a huge amount of their readership because of it.
Yeah.
But if he goes back to Breitbart, that's going to be really, really good news.
Yes, we hope so.
Go Steve.
Yeah. And another related issue on North Korea. Apparently protests have broken out on the China-North Korea border over the new sanctions. Protests on the Chinese border with North Korea have happened as China's seafood importers watched frozen product melt in trucks blocked from crossing after China imposed a new round of economic sanctions.
Oh boy, that's gotta stink.
Oh, yeah. And, the people who were trying to make some money with this, they probably lost whatever little they had. And, I have mixed feelings on this. Good on China for having implemented the sanctions, but the problem is the people who least deserve to get stuck in North Korea are getting stuck, and it's like these small merchants.
Well, it's everywhere that these sanctions have been hit. Yeah. Ordinary people are feeling the pain, and I don't agree with sanctions on North Korea, or for that matter Russia, or for that matter Iran. It's just another provocation. Yeah. North Korea has as much right to build a deterrent military to prevent invasion as any other country on earth. And we're seeing with North Korea the same kind of demonizations that we're seeing against the leaders of every other target country that the U.S. wants to invade. Inevitably, there's a media campaign to say, oh, this person is terrible. And we're seeing it again. Even though they've backed off the nuclear threat, we're seeing all these articles about how everybody who lives in North Korea is functionally a slave of Kim Jong-un, how Kim Jong-un is executing anybody that he doesn't think is 100% loyal to him, how Kim Jong-un is torturing people for practicing unofficially approved religions, and just on and on and on. Kim Jong-un is passing gas in the elevators. Kim Jong-un is tap dancing barefoot on shag carpeting.
Yes.
Kim Jong-un is responsible for
everything.
For the missing socks out of your dryer.
Yeah. Yeah, and it comes to a point where you just have to shake your head and say, don't these people understand that the American people are far more sophisticated than to swallow this codswallop?
Well, again, a lot of this is being driven by these old Cold War fossils who are still living in the dream world of the 1950s and 1960s when all of this stuff would work.
Yeah.
And the American people would buy it. And they don't know any other way to operate. And even as they begin to understand that the American people simply don't buy this stuff anymore, they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Except to just keep moving forward on this war strategy. And they're going to set fire to the planet because they can't think of anything else to do. They can't think of any other way to solve any of these problems. They're going to try and conquer the world. in order to get out of this economic mess that they've made, because that's what happened the last two times. Yep. Crash of 1907, World War I. Crash of 1929, World War II. Crash of 2008. Going to make the same mistake all over again. And this time, folks, we are going to be losing.
And we're going to be losing, unfortunately, and please understand something. I love my country. When it does something right, I will applaud it, but when it does something awful, I'm going to mention it. But we don't have the weaponry, we don't have the money, we don't have the troop strength, we don't have the manufacturing. What Russia has been doing, they've been spending a lot, and so is China, spending a lot less on weaponry, but getting more bang for their defense buff.
All right, we're going to have to take a break for commercials. We'll be right back. Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge $20, $30, $40, $50, if possible, $100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Extendivite, a 7-herb combination of garlic, cayenne, hawthorn, bilberry, ginkgo biloba, valerian, and milk thistle. Extendivite is designed to strengthen the heart and arteries and help the body heal itself. Doctors are not able to explain the improvements they are seeing in their patients' health who are taking Extendivite. People who once needed more pills are now taking less and getting better. Due to the unexplainable improvements in their patients' health, more doctors are calling to order Extendivite for themselves. Help Extendivite make your doctor a believer. Extendivite is available in capsule or liquid form for just $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To get started, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what really happened?
And aloha America, welcome back to the show here. And that was a little embarrassing during the commercial. When the Extendivite commercial started, I held the bottle up for the camera.
But there was no camera.
The camera isn't working today. And again, for those of you, I don't know what happened with BAM User. Originally it said their servers were down, and then Who knows? We'll have it back up and running on Monday. Anyway, getting on back to your talking points.
There is a slight sliver of hope that I am seeing. Apparently, President Trump is going to be visiting China by the year end. Yesterday, President Xi Jinping of China pledged to properly handle disagreements with the U.S. and said Beijing welcomes U.S. President Donald Trump to visit China by year end as he met with the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Joseph Dunford, at the Great Hall of the People in Beijing. And he made, the Chinese defense minister made a statement, President Trump and I both highly value China-U.S. relations and are willing to push forward the development of bilateral ties. Though difficulties exist, rainbows come after storm. I love his imagery there.
Yes.
I hope the two sides will treat each other with honesty and goodwill, maintain close communication, and properly handle disagreements, Xi said, according to the Chinese Ministry of Defense.
This is the opening gambit in trying to get around the threatened trade war over intellectual property rights.
So, Mike, on this issue, color me at least a little bit hopeful. What do you think?
Well, at some point, I think the administration needs to understand that if you're going to have China help you corral North Korea, and you're still at odds with them over the South China Sea, the last thing you need is to throw a trade war on there as well, especially one that is going to cause a lot more harm to the U.S. than to China. Because if they start a trade war, basically all those big box stores are going to be empty. And again, we are so dependent on foreign imports, especially from China. We've lost our ability to make what we need for ourselves. And we're sort of trapped by that.
Yeah.
And again, if you look at the trade imbalance, that right there tells you we are not a healthy, functioning economy.
No. And, I am very concerned, especially for people we know who are somewhat invested in the stock market, that there's going to be a major collapse by the end of the year. They just can't carry it on much further.
Well, there's that banker, the London Stock Exchange. Did the swan dive onto the floor?
Yeah.
That's not something that I think is going to build a lot of confidence in the stock market.
Definitely
and of course, we don't have any stocks. We put our money into canned foods and shotguns. That's where we're invested.
Well, and again, people have to try to be as pragmatic as they can. But when do you actually think that the market, based on everything that you read, because I know that you're very knowledgeable in this area, when do you think this market is going to start to collapse?
Again, it's hard to predict because the other side has got printing presses and computers and they can just keep creating money out of thin air. To be very honest, I'm amazed it has not already happened.
Yeah.
But it does make prognostication difficult when you're trying to analyze on the basis of the existing rule set and numbers, and the other side is changing the rules and changing the numbers.
Yeah.
But I agree, they can't keep this Ponzi scheme up forever.
And to all of those out there who may have a safe deposit box at your bank, please realize that under a financial emergency, that whatever you've got in there can be seized by the government.
Well, that's basically backup discs of all your music.
Yes, I know. But for people who put in like jewelry or other kinds of things, that could be really dicey.
It really could. I mean, they've already passed the laws. In the event of an emergency, the banks can help themselves to your savings accounts and to the contents of your safety deposit box. The bank isn't a safe place for your wealth anymore.
No, it's not.
Your wealth is safer in your home, hidden very carefully, than it is at the bank. And you can get a floor safe, or you can get these little items that they look like product cans, but you can unscrew the bottom and there's a hidden space in there. You can keep flash drives and all that other kind of stuff in there.
Yeah.
But you have to really start thinking very defensively and not fall for the idea that your money is safe in the system, because the system will take it when the system gets in trouble. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
It's time for you to have your own custom smartphone app for your business and pay way less than you can imagine. Introducing the I Can Get To Silent Salesman mobile marketing app, a global mobile marketing and communication tool for your business. Go to appsapart.com and learn how you could earn up to $36,351 or more per month just by inviting 2 people or less into a $14.95 per month program. Go to appsapart.com and be sure to watch the video at the top of the site and listen to the audio message from the CEO near the bottom. This is something you won't want to miss. Go to appsapart.com now or call 646-860-9540. That's 646-860-9540. Get the I Can Get To. That's ICANGET, the number 2, Silent Salesman app at appsapart.com. That's APPSAPART.com.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
NutriMedical's Calm Mind supports the relaxed mood and helps to support your brain neurotransmitter, helps lower blood pressure, helps to make you feel calm all day long, and helps to make it easier to go to sleep. Calm Mind contains GABA. It also contains xanthine and L-theanine, an amino acid from green tea. And it contains myo-inositol, a special B vitamin. Because it's such high quality, it works amazingly for anxiety, panic attack, and for depression. Get Calm Mind at NutriMedical.com and UTRIMedical.com or 888-212-8871. The special studies that have been done on Calm Mind show that it helps to stabilize the neurons in the brain, lower the autonomic nervous system that raises blood pressure, and it helps to support normal calming activity throughout the body. That means you're going to have much higher energy level, much more stable mood, be able to tolerate stress better, and it helps to stabilize blood sugar as well. So order Calm Mind at NutriMedical.com.
You've probably heard about all the great benefits of goat milk soap, but did you know some companies take shortcuts? At Old New England Soap, we make our organic goat's milk soap using 36% goat's milk. That's 17% more than most others. Our bars are larger, so they last longer, producing lots of lather packed with vitamins. And our soap is a natural moisturizer that smooths dry and damaged skin. Order online at oldnesoap.com. That's oldnesoap.com. You've tried the rest. Now try the best. oldnesoap.com.
Water-based soaps on supermarket shelves use harsh chemical acids to break down dead skin cells. And that's just not good for you. At Old New England Soap, our soaps are made without chemical ingredients, contain no alcohol or petroleum products, and use 85% organic materials and carry the USDA's organic certification. Try some today. Go to oldnesoap.com. That's oldnesoap.com. oldnesoap.com.
Well, they're stealing down on Wall Street and in Washington, too. You know, it makes me wonder, what's a guy on Main Street to do? I've always tried to be an honest, upstanding kind of guy. But I must admit lately, I thought about giving something else a try. Oh, I want to be a pirate. I want to sail the 7 seas. Yeah, I want to be a pirate. I want to do just what...
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And before we get back to the news here, you're not going to believe this. We're watching Fox News during the commercial break here. And they're actually running a segment on how religious leaders are thinking that Monday's total solar eclipse signals the end of the world. And they're scrolling all these quotes from the Bible about how the sky will darken and they'll pour forth the bowls and break the seventh seal and all this stuff from the book of Revelations. And this is Fox News supposedly. And they're becoming ever more tabloid every single day. And let's be honest that there have been total solar eclipses on a pretty much regular basis for the last 2,000 years.
Yep.
The world is still here. And it will be here Tuesday morning as well. And if it isn't, it's got nothing to do with the eclipse and everything to do with some idiot with the keys to the nuclear missiles.
Yep. That sounds about right.
All right. Now this story. I'm so glad to see the story.
Yes,
I love this story. It's a little bit of good news out there.
The grand jury has expanded the felony indictment of Wasserman Schultz, former IT aide. A former House IT aide who had access to emails and files of dozens of Democratic lawmakers has been indicted on 4 counts, including bank fraud and engaging in unlawful monetary transactions. Imran Awan, 37, an information technology aide who'd worked for Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz and dozens of other lawmakers in the House, was indicted on these counts yesterday, according to court documents obtained by the South Florida Sun-Sentinel. Wasserman Schultz, the former chairwoman of the Democratic National Committee, was forced to step down over WikiLeaks revelations that she worked against Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders' 2016 campaign in favor of Hillary Clinton. Only fired Awan on July 25th following his arrest.
Yes, absolutely. Now, the part that really has me scratching my head is they're going after him for all these financial crimes.
Yeah.
They're not going after him for the theft of U.S. government property.
Right.
And they don't seem to be interested in looking into the issue of espionage, and they know he was breaking into the computers of House members, and stealing the information, which I think falls under the heading of espionage. But even looking at these 4 charges, if he were to be convicted on all 4, he's looking at basically spending most of the rest of his life in prison. And maybe somebody somewhere thinks it's time to start making a deal. So Imran, stay out of small aircraft and out of small suburban Washington, D.C. parks. Because now you're a liability.
Yeah, he is not in jail though right now.
I think he's being held. I don't know if he made bail or not. But he did have to surrender his passport, obviously.
Yeah.
So I don't know where he really is, but even in prison, they can get to you in prison.
Oh yeah.
Right. It's so frustrating and angering. You know these crimes have been going on. You've seen the evidence. The head of the FBI admitted to all these Title 18 felony violations, and nothing ever gets done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And is this any way to run a government? No.
No.
It isn't.
Yeah.
All right.
Like to touch on this article. Nazi fears and hate speech hysteria are being amplified to attack civil liberties. Now, it doesn't take a whole lot of courage to denounce Nazism. And it appears that many of the people incessantly proclaiming how anti-Nazi they are happen to be the same folks who have the most to answer for when it comes to all sorts of transgressions against the world over the last couple of decades. That said, I'll give my 2 quick cents on the Nazi white supremacist hysteria currently being amplified by the corporate media. Caring about your country and being a true patriot, to me, means that you have the courage and logic to praise what your country's leadership may be doing correctly.
Name one.
I'm going to get there in just a second. Okay? Yeah. But also challenge it on what you believe it is doing that is wrong and immoral. President Trump has taken a strong stand against illegal immigration. And I do applaud that. Illegal immigration has cost this country intensely at so many levels. It's got to stop. But I am deeply concerned about the Trump administration's having gotten into bed with the Saudi royal family and colluding with the Saudi military in war crimes in Yemen. The U.S. military is enabling the Saudis in their slaughter and assassination of non-combatants, children, women, the medically infirm. And today we have this chilling report from the UN, and it was leaked, and it says that the Saudi coalition is responsible for multiple massive children's death in Yemen. And with U.S. military assistance, Yemeni ports have been shut down, meaning that no food can get into the country. This is translated into the deaths of thousands of Yemeni children from complications of malnutrition.
They're basically being starved to death, which is one of the cruelest deaths that you can inflict on somebody.
Yeah.
And, I mean, there's plenty of pictures. But at this point, we have to start looking at all the numbers of dead, crippled, starved people in all these countries where the U.S. is interfering. Yemen, Afghanistan, Syria, Libya. I've lost track of all the countries the U.S. is currently mucking about in, and now they're talking about going into Venezuela. And you begin to realize when you total those numbers up, we are already getting into World War class losses.
Yeah. And now, of course, resulting from the dual factors of malnutrition, coupled with the Saudis having bombed all of Yemen's water infrastructure into rubble, we've got cholera in Yemen. Cholera has hit 500,000 people in Yemen. The Saudis are using white phosphorus weapons and depleted uranium.
All provided by the United States here.
Yes.
And I'm not convinced this cholera outbreak is a natural occurrence.
No.
When you have a country that's willing to use depleted uranium and white phosphorus, why not biological warfare?
Yeah. So to our listeners and our viewers who can't see us today, but we hope to have that sorted by Monday.
We look really good today, by the way. Okay.
Yeah, my hair was great. What happened?
Yeah.
We no longer have the luxury as a nation of being ignorant jingoists, regurgitating whatever propaganda is fed to us by the prostitutes and correspondents, spewing the official government line on whatever is their agenda du jour. We need to become 7-day awareness, intellectually capable of separating the truth of a situation from the fantasy that the American deep state constantly sells us.
We just have to stop buying it.
Yeah.
We really, really, really do.
Yeah. Now, this is hard work, and it does have a price. You may lose some people you thought were your friends when you really start seriously thinking about this stuff. But I think it's worth it. This country and its values as represented by the Constitution and Bill of Rights is worth the aggravation of attempting to save by creating a national dialogue about what is done domestically and internationally in our names and with our tax dollars. And by the way, and this is the only place I saw it, Press TV, an Iranian outlet in English, is reporting the following. Today, thousands of Yemenis were protesting against the Saudi war. Thousands. And those pictures are huge, Mike. They don't look like they've been photoshopped at all.
Okay. Where was the protest taking place?
In Sa'ana, the main city in Yemen. Yeah. And this next story goes under the category of, you've got to be flipping kidding me. Parents catch FBI in a plot to force mentally ill son to be a right-wing terrorist. And, we have these that happen almost on a weekly basis, but with the FBI. But the data shows the majority of these cases are psychologically diminished patsies, and they've been entirely groomed, armed, and entrapped by FBI agents. Simply put, the FBI manufactures terror threats and then takes credit for stopping them.
For all we know, the guy that was in that car in Charlottesville could have been an FBI patsy.
Yeah.
And again, we're finding out that a lot of these people who are involved in these organizations are FBI informants.
Yeah. And while many of these cases have garnered a lot of attention and been exposed in the alternative media, this one out of Oklahoma, Mike, to me, just sets the case. Takes the case. Through the hundreds of foiled terror plots the FBI has busted over the years, many of them have focused on people of Middle Eastern descent or people associated with ISIS or Al-Qaeda. Now this time, this kid is 23 years old. His name is Jerry Drake Varnell. He is a diagnosed schizophrenic accused of attempting to bomb a bank, and the FBI fomented terror from a right-wing dialogue. And really nasty. So in June, there was a meeting with an agent. According to FBI documents, Varnell described himself as a believer in 3%er ideology, a right-wing group claiming to be committed to standing against and exposing corruption and injustice. According to federal documents, Varnell drove what he believed was a stolen van containing a 1,000-pound ammonium nitrate bomb on Saturday morning to blow up an Oklahoma City bank. And their parents, in an open letter to an independent news media outlet, made the statement, the FBI knew he was schizophrenic, and they went ahead and recruited him anyway. This is so vile, Mike, and should be criminally prosecuted. Such behavior, trying to set up a diagnosed paranoid schizophrenic, is apparently perfectly acceptable to the fomenting bowels of insanity, otherwise known as the FBI.
I love that name here, but it's a vile thing to do, regardless of who you're picking as the patsy. Now, when you're trying to manufacture a terrorist, obviously you're going to be targeting vulnerable people, the disenfranchised, people who've got mental issues, people who are easy to persuade, desperate to join some kind of a group. There's a very long list of potential people that are going to be targeted for these psychological operations. Many cases they don't realize they're working for the FBI. And but again, the FBI is creating these terror incidents to generate media to keep us all afraid and emotionally dependent on the government. And 99% of the time, these cases will actually come up for trial months after all the media brouhaha is over, and they'll get kicked out of court as an obvious entrapment operation. And yet the corporate media will never report on that part. It's just this constant stream of, oh, there was a terror threat. We got a terror threat. We got a terror threat. And they're all being manufactured by the U.S. government, by the FBI itself. And again, this was something they were doing back in the 1960s as part of the COINTELPRO program.
I just wish they'd stop that. I mean, I feel so bad for this kid's family and what the kid has gone through and how he got lied to.
He got used. I mean, it's bad enough he's schizophrenic. Goodness only knows what medication they've got him on. That may have even made him more pliant. Because when you have a kid who is on these medications, prescription antidepressants, and they've got no impulse control, you can talk them into doing almost anything.
Definitely. Oh, let's go on to corporate scandal, shall we, with Wells Fargo, which is reshuffling its board with scandal-ridden insiders. Wells Fargo, the current poster child for corporate crime recidivism, announced 3 of its board members would step down at the end of the year in a nod to the company's many incidences of customer abuse. But in an example of what passes for accountability in the modern age, they did not claw back any of the compensation from those board members. Instead, the departing board members were allowed to take an early retirement, and the replacements are either already on Wells Fargo's payroll or come from close corporate partners. One thing that you can say about the 1%ers, they never eat their own.
They just take turns at that big trough in the corporate boardroom.
This was interesting in blacklisted news. A teacher was arrested for assaulting a white nationalist. And she is saying violence against far right is not a crime.
It is.
The Berkeley area teacher who pummeled a white nationalist last year and just was recently arrested on assault charges for that attack is claiming that standing up to fascism is not a crime. And we kind of get who she is because of the organization with which she's aligned. By any means necessary's Yvette Falarca, who teaches in the Berkeley Unified School District, said at her arraignment that standing up to the rise of Nazism in this country is not a crime, and added, we have the right to defend ourselves.
As I understand it, she didn't defend herself. She attacked this guy.
She attacked this guy, hit him so hard in the stomach and she threw him to the ground. So, my dear Miss Falarca, a word please. It appears that your alleged standing up to fascism always translates into the person whose ideology you cannot stand getting physically beaten. And right now, I would like to invoke the memory of the late Dr. Martin Luther King, one of my greatest heroes of the 20th century, who created mass positive change without ever hitting anyone or without firing a single shot. Had this man not been a Christian, a pacifist, and a great admirer of Gandhi, God only knows what direction the civil rights movement in this country could have gone.
And of course, following his assassination, and the hijacking of the civil rights movement by Jesse Jackson, it did start to get violent, and it resulted in the loss of public support for the civil rights movement, along, of course, with the dirty tricks that the FBI was doing in COINTELPRO, like the Black Panther coloring book.
Yeah. And I if I ever met this lady, I'd have to ask her or mention to her what she's done actually is to encourage mob violence, which may ultimately result in the suspension of the Constitution and the imposition of martial law. And I have to wonder, was that her design objective when you physically beat up people with whom you don't agree? Or do you not realize that your actions may well have these consequences? And is she not, Mike, I mean, take a look at this. Is she in her classroom would say bullying is not cool. Bullying is not good. Bullying outside the classroom also has no moral justification either. She's deluding herself if she thinks that there is a difference in her actions when she punched a man in the stomach, then threw him to the ground. I mean, hello?
Well,
is that not bullying?
If you ever do meet this lady, please take your pepper spray.
Yeah, right. Okay. There is something that has just happened. Survivors win confidential settlement in lawsuit against CIA torture psychologists. The two psychologists, James Mitchell and Bruce Jessen, who were contracted by the CIA to develop torture techniques, agreed to a confidential settlement with torture survivors. The American Civil Liberties Union sued Mitchell and Jessen on behalf of Suleiman Abdullah Saim, Mohammed Ahmed Ben Saud, and the family of Gul Rahman. The lawsuit alleged the CIA contractors committed crimes that included water torture, forcing prisoners into boxes, and chaining prisoners in painful stress positions to walls.
Of which we have plenty of photos that leaked out of Abu Ghraib.
We brought this...
Okay, gotta take a break.
Okay,
Gotta take a break. We'll be back with the last segment of our program today after these few words.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Without the right accessories, any guy can be off the mark. Whether you've invested thousands in your arsenal or you own a single trusted firearm, a visit to AROutfitting.com is in order. It's one of the finest online selections of tactical optics and AR parts and add-ons, like EOTech, quick target acquisition with no peripheral loss. Browse the full range of Nikon scopes and binoculars. AROutfitting.com can illuminate your world with Streamlight gun-mounted lights from keychain to large handhelds up to 1,100 lumens. Find some stability with Battenfield tactical bipods. AirOutfitting.com has CMMG gun parts, barrels, assemblies, handguards, part kits, and more. Plus mag-full clips and magazines. I know I've got you excited, so take a breath. Head to AirOutfitting.com. The site's super easy to navigate and features a ton of technical info, including links to manuals. We also welcome vendor and manufacturer inquiries. Remember, if you don't see it, we can get it at AirOutfitting.com.
You've probably heard about all the great benefits of goat milk soap, but did you know some companies take shortcuts? At Old New England Soap, we make our organic goat's milk soap using 36% goat's milk. That's 17% more than most others. Our bars are larger, so they last longer, producing lots of lather packed with vitamins. And our soap is a natural moisturizer that smooths dry and damaged skin. Order online at oldnesoap.com. That's oldnesoap.com. You've tried the rest. Now try the best. oldnesoap.com.
Water-based soaps on supermarket shelves use harsh chemical acids to break down dead skin cells. And that's just not good for you. At Old New England Soap, our soaps are made without chemical ingredients, contain no alcohol or petroleum products, and use 85% organic materials and carry the USDA's organic certification. Try some today. Go to oldnesoap.com. That's oldnesoap.com. oldnesoap.com.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight. Women and children alike.
And aloha America, welcome back to our show. Last segment of our program on this Pauhana Friday, and we're finishing up with the story about this settlement, this confidential settlement. They're not going to say how much money was paid to these victims of CIA torture, and yes, it's a great victory for accountability, but it is a drop in a very large bucket.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people got tortured, many of them to death.
Yes.
Some of them tortured to death to find Saddam's nuclear weapons, which didn't exist.
Right, right. And Mike, to me, in a just world, these two pieces of work should be cooling their heels in a jail cell and not in a club fed for the rest of their miserable lives.
I mean, they're operating on the same level as a Joseph Mengele, who took his medical training and turned it to the government's nefarious purposes.
Yeah. This is not a just world, and those who purvey torture techniques are honored and protected by the governments who put their practices into place with impunity. Also, Mitchell and Jessen should be shunned henceforward and forever by the profession of psychology. They are among the true monsters among us, and the fact that Bush and his administration embraced what they offered makes them monsters as well.
Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and take a phone call now. W in Texas, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yes, I mentioned, I think yesterday, I talked about the snowball effect. I mean, it's pretty obvious, but, I mean, what's going to happen next? Are the Mexicans, are the Hispanic, Latino citizens, are they going to go back to Mexico, Central America, tear down the statues of the conquistadors and Simon Bolivar and all these people that, you know, have, you know, not perfect histories, but, you know, they pillaged, they raped, they destroyed, but they also are part of the history. So, I mean, are they going to go back and do that? Are the Hispanic people going to go and do that in Mexico? So, I mean, I just find it really interesting. And then on top of that, I mean, is this going to lead to internet licenses that has been talked about in the past? You're going to need a license to voice your opinion, that type of thing. And then the last thing, I guess, is, I mean, it seems like as they talk about, now they're getting towards president. So it seems to me like the next step is the Bill of Rights. So they're going to say, well, because the Bill of Rights was written by these hypocritical slaveholders that actually read this amazing document at the same time, but because they were slaveholders, we have to dismiss the fact that they wrote this awesome document. So let's go ahead and get rid of the Bill of Rights too, since that's part of, you know, that thing.
I've actually heard that argument seriously presented, along with various other arguments that the Constitution and the Bill of Rights is hopelessly outdated, and there should be a new constitutional convention that will redesign a new nation. But obviously, whoever's at that convention is probably going to be there to design a new nation that serves the bankers and the money junkies a lot more than our present one.
Yeah.
I think we need to go back to being a coalition of separate, independent, sovereign states, and a central federal government that acts as an arbitrator, and organizes the military in times of needing a defense, and other than that, minds its own business, because that's the way it was originally set up. But we know that the statists are trying to find some way they can transition our republic to a real dictatorship. And yes, we might actually see people start tearing down monuments in other countries around the world. This thing could spin totally out of control. Anyway, W, thank you for the call. There's the music. Claire and I are going to sign off here. Have a really good weekend. Get ready for the eclipse on Monday. And we'll be back here on Republic Broadcasting. Stay tuned for John Stadmiller's program, Aloha America.